whenever you can hear yourself, right?
Yeah.
So just however you feel.
Adjust it however you want. Yeah, we're dialed. All right, should we
Hello.
kick it off, boys?
Ponchos.
Welcome back, everybody.
Good
Good jingle. Good jingle, G.
Thank you.
Guys, we're here today with a very special guest. It's come to our attention we're actually popping his podcast V card, his little
Yes.
cherry, you know what I'm saying?
Indeed, we are.
It's true.
It's the man behind the camera, one of our great friends, Bryant Eslava. Everybody give him a hand,
Let's
huh?
go.
Come on, baby.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, Bryant.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
hey, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, I mean, man, I've always wanted to do a podcast, but like, I feel like once you guys talked to me about it, I remember we talked about it a little bit in Aspen.
I
We
saw you
talked
at a couple
about it.
parties.
Yeah.
Like,
And I was like, you know what? Like, if I'm gonna ever do it for the first time, it's gonna be with like people that I've known for a long time.
for sure, bro.
You
Hell
know,
yeah.
because I've gotten emails like, oh, come on this, and I'm like, I don't know. I've never
You don't want to
heard of
just
this
jump
podcast.
into some random scenario.
Yeah,
where,
I'm like,
you know.
I don't know like how it's gonna go.
No,
you know?
it's
Yeah.
good. I mean,
Yeah.
we built a rapport over the last, 7 years, I want to
8,
say, which
maybe?
is crazy to think about, actually. Like how long
Yeah.
we've actually been out here. It's 2022
When
now.
did you guys meet?
We met in 2014,
2014, yeah.
so it's
2014,
8
yeah.
years ago now, which is insane.
Oh man. I
Oh yeah,
feel
it is
old.
2022.
Which
huh?
is wild, man. Have you ever done like any sort of like long form like media, like anything? Like
No, I mean, I don't know if you guys remember, but I used to like never post myself at all.
Yeah, I
of
remember that.
course,
That was like
yeah.
a rule.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
your work type shit.
It was just my work, and like part of that was because I was very camera shy and like insecure with myself. Up until like 2019, I like just started hitting the gym twice a day, like eating right, like just meeting that goal, which was one of the big reasons why I didn't show myself.
Well, bro, that's
Wow,
awesome.
you're
I mean, let's like start with that. Like,
Yeah.
where did this like inspiration for this fitness journey come from? I mean, you look like fucking awesome, bro. Like now
Thank you,
compared to
man.
when you did, and it's like
Yeah.
crazy to see like how far you've come.
Thank you. man.
What kind of sparked that? Should I say? I guess.
I mean, it was a mixture of things. I think just being in the space for so long and just being like anonymous or just being like a Bryant account with just like basically a mood board.
Yeah, I
know,
feel
just,
you.
Like,
Yeah.
pictures. I always knew that one day I was like, dude, you got to show yourself. You know, like you can't just be like hiding forever. But only the people that were working around me were the ones that knew. You know. And so finally, 2019 came around, and I was like, it was like in a way like a New Year's resolution, and I was like, you know what, this is the year, I'm gonna do it, and I'm not gonna stop. You know.
I feel you.
Once I started like going consistently, like 3 months in, people started being like, yo, you look good, man, and I was
And
like,
that
okay,
probably-
it's working. It's
And that
working.
probably felt
Yeah.
like just as good as actually hitting the gym. Like actually,
Yeah.
people like, bro, like what the fuck, bro? You're a changed man. You know.
Yeah,
That's
and not-
got to be a good feeling.
Not only was it just like the weight loss part, but it was more like mentally too. You know,
Big
like
time.
the inspiration was coming in more. Like I felt more energized. I was like, oh, let's go shoot. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and so that I fell in love with even more. And I was like, wow, like I need to keep this up.
I feel you, bro. Starting your day with a workout, like I notice when I'm in those ruts where like I'm not doing shit for like a couple months, and just my energy throughout my day will be so much more apparent.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
if I hit a workout in the morning,
Oh,
and I'm
yeah.
like,
Those
damn,
days
now I
when you
want to
don't
tackle
wanna
my
do it,
day.
you
Actually,
You have to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
And
man.
it'll change the rest
It's
of
always
your day.
like it's always like those first few minutes, like you're like, oh, should I go do it? But once you're there, it's like, okay, well, I'm already here.
first sec gets
And
by,
then
and
once it's over, you're like,
So
oh,
You're
so
on
glad
get
it's
some
done.
so
endorphins
glad
going.
you
You're
did
like,
that.
woo.
I see you do Barry's boot camp, right?
all the time.
Is that how it started
What
in
is that?
2019?
I see
Yeah.
that shit all the time. What is berries?
So going to your question, it started off just me hitting the treadmill.
Oh, nice.
And like I didn't know anything about like lifting weights, nothing. I was just like, I have to do cardio. And I was doing in the beginning, I was like slow speeds, incline, very minimal, until I eventually just started like challenging myself, like speed it up a little bit more. So my workouts went from like 15 minutes a day to like 30 to like an hour, and just like trying to push myself. Then now, I've always heard of Barry's Boot Camp, and Barry's Boot Camp is basically, a workout class with an instructor there, and he or she, like, they have, like, like a headset, and it's a red room, and you're basically, it almost feels like you're at a club.
That's
and
a vibe.
Yeah.
That's where you thrive. I know
yeah,
this,
man.
baby.
And then they have a whole mix going, and it's interesting because, like, since they do it so often, the mix, in a way, kind of, like, is going with like the speed of like the treadmill, So,
I
like,
feel so. It's on a treadmill. It's like a treadmill based thing.
it's a mixture of both. So it's like, okay, you start off like when you look at the class, it says full body, lower body, upper body, or like abs and ass. Like it's like a whole list of like workouts. So let's say today's like full body. You start on the treadmill. You do like 15 minutes there, and it's like incline, full speed, like slow down, walk it out, like things like that. And then they have you move to the floor. And when you're on the floor, it's when you start doing like
body weight exercises and shit.
But it's 2 rounds. It's like you start off tread, floor.
No, that's fire. I've seen like a lot of like influencers and like just people in the city like posting from there. I've never gone,
Yeah, I've never gone either.
You got to take us one day.
It's
We got to
great,
check that
dude.
shit out.
I mean, I've already like taken a bunch of people, and I've been talking to some of the people that work at Barry's, like corporate, and they're like, yo, like if you want to have a private class one day with a bunch of your friends, we could host up to like 20 or 30 people.
Shit, bro.
Wow.
Let us
Yeah.
know. We're down.
Yeah, let's
I was
do
like,
that.
if you guys wanna
Bryant's
do it.
boot camp. Yeah,
Yeah, man.
I'm saying, where's the spin-off at, baby?
I won't be teaching the class, but we'll have someone there.
But that's fire. I mean, like, how has just being fitter and being like living a healthier lifestyle like affected your work? Would you say?
Honestly, man, it's just like I feel like I could look at people in the eyes now and just like have an actual conversation. I think that was one thing that I noticed. Actually, like down the line, I was like, wow, dude, I actually used to look down like a lot, and I used to look away, or I wouldn't be able to hold a full conversation. Partially because I was so insecure,
I feel you.
So now it's like, I'm open to doing all kinds of things now that it involves like me and like, like for example, doing this podcast.
Yeah.
You know, if you guys would have hit me up 2018, I would have been like, no chance. you know?
Man, I feel you, bro.
Yeah.
Having that just confidence walking in a room, it can be a big changer.
Yeah, man. And it's like, there's so much to share and like that I've always wanted to, like on camera. And I think part of that just, no one really knows like who I am like online. It's only like, oh, like he posts a picture, he's working with this creator, that creator, and like anyone can make up anything about me, and I feel like anyone would believe it,
For sure.
So it's like it's easier to, and you see stuff, man. Like I'm sure you guys all have like, oh, like this person, this, and you're like, I didn't do that, but whatever.
No, for sure.
Yeah,
bro.
100%.
Especially like without like a person or like an actual like personality to attach like your name to.
Right.
Things can get confuddled, bro. And especially I'm sure like is there ever a point where like being behind the scenes was like you wanted to take that leap? I know especially now like with the weight loss journey and lifestyle change, but was there ever a point where you're like, damn, all these people are like I'm helping like blow up their careers and help facilitate all their photographs and pretty much like getting their Instagram feeds right in a sense, and then like you're here and nobody knows your face. Was that ever a thing where you were like, damn, like I wish people knew more about me?
Yeah, I mean, always from the very beginning. I think I was like, I always liked the idea of starting a YouTube channel just because I would see a lot of other photographers like, oh, like behind the scenes and like, this is how you use this camera. And I remember I did try it out a little bit. I don't know if you guys remember. I did like an episode with Nash. I did one with Cameron. And then after that, I was like, never mind.
Wait, you were doing YouTube shit for a second.
Yeah. And it's like, I just kind of was like, this is like a big commitment, So I like kind of stepped away from it. But I wish I would have kept going. But I just like, I always wanted to share more of myself online, and it was just kind of like, where do I do it, and sometimes I would do it on Snapchat.
I feel you,
like I would do like a
talk
selfie.
to the camera more
right,
and shit.
but it was more like, guys, I just posted a new picture on Instagram.
Right.
Like something super simple, and just like now it's like the times have changed, and you could show more personality through different platforms, and I think that's like the cool part,
I mean, definitely, bro.
What got you into photography?
So it's funny because growing up, obviously like when you're in school, you start seeing your friends playing sports and getting good at football and this and that. And I tried it, man. I tried football. I tried different sports, and I was never good at anything. I was just like the chubby kid that like tried and wouldn't really fit
You would
in.
try everything, but nothing really stuck.
Right. And I was just like, damn, I'm not athletic at all. And anyways, I think when it came around to, going to high school, going into my freshman year, my mom was always like, Bryant, like you need to, do some change. You can't just be sitting at home all day on the computer right after school and like, tell you have class again. And I think it's once I hit that, I was like, you know what? She's right. Like, I need to do something about this. And
where are you at in the world? Just for context, like where are you growing up at?
Orange County. So
okay.
Yeah, Anaheim, California. So that was like where I grew up, like right in between Knott's Berry Farm and Disneyland. So,
hell yeah, bro.
So that's my hometown. And once I hit freshman year, I was just kind of like, okay, I need to try something and like actually achieve it and complete it. And I joined wrestling. When I did wrestling, that was like my first time to like actually seeing like progression, where I was like, okay, like I'm doing this, I'm gonna finish it. I'm not just gonna like do it for like a few weeks. And then when sophomore year came around, that's when I like picked up photography, and when I picked up the camera, I was like, okay, I don't know how to use this, but let me get good at it, because now at this point in my head, I'm like, I completed wrestling. I feel like I can complete this now.
For sure.
And so once I started doing that, I started like really understanding how like these settings work, cameras, and started studying photography. Like during the summers of my high school years, like instead of being out and about and like going to the mall and movies and stuff, I would just stay inside and study.
Just like aspect ratios and all that
everything,
shit.
Dude, like film photography to the history of it to like photographers shooting for like brands that I like. I remember like Urban Outfitters. They always had these like catalogs when you would walk in, and they'd have like the summer collection, and at the very back in small print, it'd be like photos by like, you know, different photographers. And I would just like go online and look them up. And that's kind of where the whole passion just started, you know?
What was like first camera, like how to get into your hands? How did you even fall into like attempting this in the first place? Was it just like random as shit, like out on a limb type thing, or was it?
So it was more like, okay, so when I came to my sophomore year, I remember my dad was basically like, yo, if you keep up the good grades, you know, this next semester, you know, your mom and I are gonna give you like a nice gift. And like, I never really got whatever I wanted. My dad was always like, nah, like we can't right now, or, you know.
For sure.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna take this challenge. You know, I'm gonna like, you know, have a good GPA. And I think I had like a 3.5, which was like really good, man.
Yeah,
So,
that was our ball game
Yeah,
there.
3.5. You know?
3.5, baby. That's right in the mix. You know?
Yeah.
And so that warranted the gift. You had no idea what this gift was gonna be, though. It
Right.
was
And at first I wanted a laptop, but we had like a home computer, like, you know, like a Windows, like just
the
in the
bulky
corner.
motherfucker.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
But
we
it's
had
like,
that.
you know, it was like super slow, but I was like, oh, I kind of want a laptop so I can just be in my room and on my computer. But so anyways, I remember it was like Black Friday, and we walked into Best Buy, and I remember walking by, you know, the DSLRs, and I was like, this was a digital camera, and it was a Nikon D40, I still remember, and I was like, man, do I want that or do I want a laptop? And it was around the same price range, so my parents were like, pick and choose, like it's up to you, like it's still the same price,
Just
you
put the
know?
ball in your court, yeah.
And so that's when I was like, you know what? I already have a computer at home. Like, I'm just going to pick this up and try to get good at it, you know? Because I've always liked photography. And so that's kind of where it all started. And it's so funny because looking back, like, I was shooting on macro mode for the longest time, and I was taking portraits of people.
So what does that
what's
mean?
yeah?
I don't even
Explain
know.
that for
So-
the
so-
non-camera users. I
so
have no idea. So.
Macro mode, like, I think everyone has it now on their iPhone. It's basically when you, like, get
Oh, yeah.
close to something like a flower, it,
Mhm.
like, makes everything blurry, but the flower is super in focus.
Oh, he
So
uses that for his nude, his dick pics and stuff.
Yeah.
I knew I heard it somewhere. I knew I knew about it.
Yeah, the
somewhere.
portrait
Yeah.
mode.
It's
Or
good.
whatever,
But so so
Yeah.
it fucking takes the background, makes it fuzzy. It's like it focuses on the
Yeah, but
focal point object in
Right. And
the penis for Sammy. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
You know, a lot of like you know, landscape, or not landscape, but like photographers that shoot flowers and stuff, they love that like feature. So I was doing portraits of that, and then one day I realized, oh, that's not the right setting, you know, and you know, I was just like, wow, for like I swear to God, for like a year and a half I was shooting portraits with this
Just
setting.
all macro.
But then eventually I was like, okay, that's when I was like, I need to like know how this works, you know, I don't want to be messing.
Because
What
you
did
wanted you okay,
Sorry,
go ahead. No,
Or
you're-
I was gonna ask, what like did you originally start shooting? Like your
I was
friends?
gonna
or
say
was it
that.
Like a,
Yeah. So yeah, I started taking pictures of my friends that were going to church, you know. So like youth, like we had like a youth group, and I was just like, hey, like, do you want to meet up like this weekend and go to the train tracks and like take pictures in the fields and anywhere that looked cool, you know. Sometimes the beach, and so I was practicing with them all the time, and then eventually when I hit my junior year, I joined yearbook, and I joined yearbook because in order for you to carry a camera around school, you needed to be a yearbook student.
Mm.
You couldn't just bring a camera to school.
Right.
So like, did you actually like? Were you like that into the yearbook, or was it more
Not
just
at
for
all.
the fact that you could carry
yeah,
the camera?
it was more so to get the access to carry a camera and like keep practicing while I was on campus.
That's
you know?
fire. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I was like, you know, it's funny. Like when I was in yearbook, I hated the whole writing part because like your job was to basically cover the football game and then write about it.
Oh, so you couldn't just do photos,
No,
like
no.
exclusively. You
Right.
had to.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, our teacher would be like in her room, and we had like a whole room with computers and like all our stuff. And I was like, I made a deal with some of the other students, being like, yo, like I'll cover your, you know, if you have to do the dance this week, and I'll shoot it. You just write all my stuff.
Oh,
Mm,
damn,
you know,
nice.
broke
Smart.
a little
Yeah,
side
nice.
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I started doing that, and then my teacher caught on. She got really mad at me and was like, "You can't be doing that. You have to write." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Isn't that crazy that they make you do like everything in high school when it's like you already knew what your niche was in terms of, you know, whether it was photography or writing? It's like, yo, obviously I lean towards photography. Like,
Yeah, man.
why can't I just have that role? But I guess you got
I wish
to
they would tell us why they wanted us to write and learn to write, not just like you have to write. Like it's like, all right, like, but why?
Yeah,
You're young,
yeah,
you don't know
yeah.
like why writing is good. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I guess I get it. It's high school. You got to fucking try
Yeah, you
everything.
just try
but
it.
Right,
But
right.
So-
you were in a rare place where
He
you
caught
knew
on-
exactly what you wanted.
Did he once he caught on? Did he like fucking he threw you back into writing duties or what?
Yeah. Basically, like after that, I was just like, there was just like, don't do it again, and I just kept doing it behind the scenes.
Did you like
But-
actually like when you were shooting people? Then did you know this is what you want to do, or you're like, fuck it, I guess I'm just gonna keep doing this? And
Well-
then like opportunities came from that.
Yeah, I mean, so It was funny because like after once I got to my senior year, everyone in my school was like, "Oh, Bryant the photographer," you know? And it's funny because for me it was just like that's all I had to do is like homework and take pictures, but when I was a sophomore, I started thinking like eventually once you become a senior, you have to think about what's next. Like, oh, am I going to college? What am I going to college for?
Real world shit. Yeah.
It was like the pressure, it was there, and I was like, well, I don't want to go to community college or just like do a 9 to 5. I want to keep doing this, because I feel like I'm getting better and better every year. And so then, once I hit my senior year, I remember when I was like about to graduate, I was like, you know what, like I'm just gonna apply for a college in New York. I just feel like I have to be in New York.
This is like the photography hotbed. So
yeah,
to
and I was
speak.
like, it's like I always thought, okay, it's photography is really like the high fashion stuff is all in New York, and then in LA, I just thought it was always very movie. It's like
I feel you.
acting and all that.
Right.
Because
So-
I'm like, I'm curious because like LA was right next door. Like you were
Yeah.
neighbors with LA.
Yeah.
But New York just seemed like more the photography style
Right.
that you were gravitating towards at the time.
Exactly, yeah, and a lot of the photographers, like I said, that I was looking at that shot for like Urban Outfitters and stuff, like all of them were like New York based.
Gotcha.
Man, I was like, I feel like the education and everything, like in my head, right? Like I
Learn the ropes and fucking,
Exactly.
have some
Yeah.
mentors out there.
So
doing
did
what
you
I'm
end
doing.
up applying to school out there?
Yeah, I did. I actually applied to the school called School of Visual Arts, and it's right in Manhattan. And it's not just like a campus; it's kind of spread around the city. So like, there's a photo building and then a graphic design building like 5 blocks away.
Got you.
So yeah, when I applied, that was like the only college I applied to, and I also applied for a scholarship, which I got.
No way.
And
Oh,
it was a trip because my art teacher when I was a senior, she was the one that was pushing me like to keep following up with the school. Like she was like, okay, like in class she'd be like, oh, call the school and like with some of the counselors and stuff and like remind them that you asked for a scholarship.
Show some initiative.
Yeah, exactly. So it was because of her, honestly, and I'm sure if one day she watches this,
What was her name? We gotta shout her out.
her name is Miss Moen.
Miss
Miss
Moen.
Moen.
Yeah,
Miss Moen.
Yeah.
Those
This
teachers-
dude owes you a lot. I'm saying Miss
the
Moen.
ones, the teachers who like kind of like pushed you in the direction that they know that you were passionate about are the
Yeah.
best teachers. Like
Yeah.
they didn't care like, okay, you can miss this a little assignment if you go out in the hall and call that college and make sure you get
Yeah.
the scholarship.
Right.
Like that's what really matters. This a little assignment isn't going to do much, but like calling, like
Yeah.
We
Those
gotta pat
teachers
those
are
teachers on the
so-
back,
yeah,
bro.
they're
'Cause
Honestly,
think
those
about
are
how
the real
much
teachers.
think about how much teachers get paid, and like the fact that some of these teachers actually go above and beyond. Like, bro, it'd be so easy to do service level shit as a teacher
Yeah,
because you're getting paid what 28 grand a year, 32 grand a year.
Yeah.
It's like the hours are crazy, but then it's like, yo, like Mrs. Shao, for example, or Mrs.
Yeah.
Kleppinger. I
Yep.
mean, there's a few I can
Yeah,
name from
they're
our high
tight.
school where I'm like, damn, bro, they made me realize, like, yo, fucking,
you can do
I can
what
follow
you
my
want.
dreams.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
They were
It's
always
nice.
interested in our shit going, like, because we had like Vine going on at the time, like senior year. And they
Yeah.
were like, yo, like run with this. A lot of people were like, oh, go to college, this is
Yeah.
all a fantasy dream of yours.
Yeah.
But they were like, yo, we actually see this shit moving, and yeah, just pats on the back.
That's
to those
cool.
teachers.
Yeah,
actually.
honestly.
Wow, I didn't know
Yeah.
that at all.
And,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
there's only like I feel like there's a few teachers that are like that, that are very like you can do this.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to do the traditional way of doing things. And then the like other teachers are like, no, you have to do this.
Right.
For sure,
You
the
know?
majority of
I get
Yeah.
both sides, but for creatives like all of us, like getting pushed into like that rare place of like, just like you're different than 99% of the rest of the class.
Just
So
having like an
go a
elder who
different
like,
way.
yeah, totally.
Right.
Having an elder tell you that too.
Yeah.
Someone who's like seen a lot of life,
Yeah.
Elder.
What's up, elder?
So did you do 4 years there?
Yeah. So well, yeah.
No, so when I was there, at this point, now I think this is like 2012, I want to say.
When'd you graduate high school?
2011.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, so like June 2011.
Mhm.
And then I went into college towards the end of that year. And anyways, when I was there, I already kind of had like a little bit of a following on Tumblr, and that's when it didn't really mean anything. Like I was just like posting my work, and I had that going on the side. I think I had around like 300,000 followers during that time.
Oh, damn.
which
On
is crazy.
Tumblr.
On Tumblr.
Because I was never like in the
Yeah.
Tumblr
No,
wave
but
at
all the girls that
Yeah.
we would hang out with, like in our freshman and sophomore, and even 7th and 8th grade years,
Mhm.
they were all on Tumblr, posting it onto their MySpace.
And what was it, like notes
Yeah.
or like what was like the like thing on Tumblr? Like
It was reblog and
reblogs and
like, or not even like.
I remember
notes.
some notes.
So
yeah,
you-
it was notes.
you
Yeah.
got your photography out like on social media. This was pre even going to the School of Visual Arts in New York. Like it was, you
Yeah.
already had kind of like a nice Tumblr following.
300,000 followers, you said?
300,000.
That's wild. Did you use that as like as part of your application? Like,
Holy
look what
shit.
I've built on here. This like online presence. Like,
Dude, you want to know what's crazy? No one cared.
they didn't give a fuck. I was
yeah,
gonna ask.
in
Like,
2012,
no
like
one-
because it was such a
Yeah.
traditional world at the time.
Right.
I'm sure
Yeah,
they kind
social
of.
media wasn't like no one was
there was no
popping
poll.
off social media. yet.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
now it's like if somebody has 300K, a photographer on Instagram, and they're applying to a school, like that's probably what the schools are asking
Yeah,
for now in
probably,
2022.
yeah,
You feel
yeah,
me?
Yeah.
Like, show us what you've built. You know?
It's wild because like looking back, and I totally missed to say this part, but when I was in high school, the way I was sharing my work was actually on MySpace.
Hell yeah.
So I created a profile only for my photography, which was very, very unheard of. Like MySpace was only about music and
Right.
personal profiles.
Yep.
You know, so I made a photography account and I just like started adding people just so they can like see my name and my photography, just to kind of, that was my way of marketing it. And so then once Tumblr came out, which was around my junior or senior year, that's when I was like, oh, there's a platform now that's, you don't even have to pay to build a website because it's all free. It's like a free domain.
Visual base.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just like that was kind
Couldn't
of
you like make your own like was it backslash then your username or did you have your own domain like?
Are you talking about on MySpace or
no,
on
on Tumblr?
on Tumblr? Shit, I wish I could tell you.
So on Tumblr, like they gave you a free domain, which was like your username.tumblr.com.
Oh yeah, okay.
But then you can like, if you paid for your own domain, like on a domain site, there was a way for you to link it to your Tumblr. So it could just be like myname.com and it would
it
immediately
would take you to your
Oh,
Tumblr
wow.
page.
Tumblr.
Oh,
yeah.
sick.
So there's a way to replace it in the
Yeah.
settings. But
Wait, random question. What was your MySpace profile song? Do you remember?
oh man, I went through like a emo phase at one point. You know?
Yeah.
You were like
yeah.
Pierce the Veil or something.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah, man. I was just because there's this like small venue in Orange County called Chain Reaction. It's still there, and their domain is actually pretty cool. It's allages.com, and they still have it. I've like checked it out. But like they were the only venue that like was all ages, and I would go there like in high school and
See
just
shows and shit.
yeah. That's when I kind of got into that emo like rock death metal kind of crowd.
The Vans, the skinny jeans.
Yeah.
Were you on that whole wave
Yeah,
and shit?
man. I
love
never
it,
got to
bro.
go to Warped Tour, but like a lot of those artists definitely stopped.
Oh hell yeah.
Damn, I'm kind of part of me sad I never got to see like emo Bryant like thriving. You know what I'm saying?
But even in 2014, we were all wearing skinny jeans.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's funny because that like
Ruka.
transcended the whole emo wave. That was just like what was popular at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah. It was literally like
I'm
pop
sure-
music, but pop culture.
Bro, I'm sure the emo kids were like, "Fuck these people!" Like the mainstream now.
Yeah,
they're,
we were like-
they're biting our shit. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so how many years at School of Visual Arts? How long were you there for?
So I just did it a year. So when I was there, the first semester, I started getting invited by Tumblr to actually go to events.
Wow.
So I got an email one day, and they were like, "Yo, we want to invite you to New York Fashion Week, you and 3 other creators, because you guys are one of our top creators that like post original content, and none of us reblog anything, so it's not reposting, it's all just original content." At first, I was like, "This is a scam. This is not true,"
Yeah.
And it was like, "We want to invite you to backstage to fashion shows, sit you front row. We'll pay you for the week, and like go to all these parties." And I was like, "This is insane."
This was like Tumblr themselves reaching out.
Yeah,
to you.
and
Damn, that's crazy.
the crazy part is I was dorming 3 blocks away from their office, from their like headquarters.
Yeah.
And I ended up going in for a meeting, and it was legit. It was like they literally were like, "Okay, we're gonna assign you this, one person that works in the fashion department. They're gonna be your tour guide, and they're gonna like get you all set up, send you an itinerary." That was like the first time I was like, "Wow, this is like nothing like this."
I'm
has
doing
ever
That's
happened."
crazy.
Yeah,
I'm
Yeah,
doing this.
yeah.
That's like paid promo before like it even was a thing on social
Right.
media. I feel like
Exactly,
You know?
man. It was like, "Yo, have fun, but like here's some money for that." And I was
That's
like, "This is,
sick.
this
So
is
Bryant
great.
was the first influencer.
You
Essentially.
were the first influencer.
There
All the way
was-
back in the
crazy.
Tumblr days, bro.
Yeah. I mean, there definitely was some big influencers on MySpace. Jeffree Star being one of them, actually.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was like 15, 16, I remember seeing Jeffree Star like all over. He was like one of the biggest
Really?
MySpace users. Yeah.
Bro, because in my mind, like Jeffree Star just popped out of nowhere and just had this mega mansion, and like I heard about him a couple
Just
years ago.
Spawned somewhere.
No, like,
Where did
there's
this
a
motherfucker
reason.
come from,
Yeah,
bro?
he's got like cult following because it goes all the way back like 15 years.
Grinding.
Yeah.
And honestly, like respect, because like I've seen like the way Jeffree has marketed himself and like just continue to stay up with the times, So yeah, I remember seeing that and I was like, wow, like there is a way to make a living doing this.
Was that your first like paid gig?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was crazy because going back to your question about how long I was at SVA.
Yeah.
it was around second semester when I realized like, man, I'm getting invited to all these events. And now like I have a homework assignment that is like take a picture of this water bottle in the morning, afternoon, and like evening and capture the shadow and and like go print it in the dark room. And then I have all these like great opportunities like go to this and that.
Yeah.
It's like where are my priorities really
Right.
lying at
And
this point?
it was stressing me out. I was like, man, I haven't even done my homework yet. And it was like a lot of work.
I feel you. I mean, and part of you was probably like, why the fuck should I even do this homework when
You're
Yeah.
getting breaded out.
Yeah, and you're
Yeah.
learning from like real life applicable stuff like
Right.
that you're doing
Yeah.
in New York, like getting paid to do it.
Right.
So then at that point, you in 2012 was it that you were just like, all right, I'm
Yeah.
not going to school anymore.
Exactly. So I let the semester end, both semesters, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna drop out. And it was obviously not an easy thing to do because
Yeah.
it's like dropping out of college means get out of the dorms and like you're on your own.
Yeah,
know?
you got to pay for something. You got to tell your parents that you're not going to school,
Yeah.
how you're going to support
that's a
yourself.
tough combo
It
too.
was
Yeah, I
tough,
mean, shit,
man.
bro. I'm sure.
Like, and my parents were like, whoa, like, are you sure? Like, you literally just started, And I was like, yeah, like, I don't know why, but I just don't want to waste my time in a classroom. It wasn't only just the opportunities that were presenting themselves. It was more also like the way some of the professors were teaching things. I remember I had a Photoshop class, and our professor like assigned us a way of like finishing a project, and it was like these are the steps to complete the project, and I knew so many shortcuts because I'm self-taught,
Yeah.
So I was like, I finished the project in like 10 minutes, and like we had like a whole hour to complete it, and everyone was still working on it, and my professor got really mad at me. Was like,
For taking shortcuts.
right, and
For
it
being
was,
more efficient than everybody else.
right,
Isn't that
and it was
Which is
like,
ridiculous when
Yeah.
you
which
think
is
about
wild,
it. Bro.
man. And I think it was more of like, why didn't you do it the way I told you to? Like, you're supposed to still be working. Because, like, meanwhile, now I'm all, like, browsing around on the internet. Like, I'm bored.
Finding your
You know?
next deal, finding, what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Reading emails
Checking
and
my
shit.
Tumblr,
Yeah.
And it was crazy because that's when I realized, like, man, I actually was like, well, I did tell my professor in the real world, like, you got to do things quick. You got to deliver quick. And it was just like, from there, I was like, you know what, maybe this isn't the right place for me to be at. But yeah, so dropped out, and that was like a very like interesting time because, I mean, dude, I ended up moving out of the dorms, moving into Brooklyn, like deep Brooklyn, paying like $700 a month, in like literally a closet with no windows, like super hot, like
Fucking like that one dude on TikTok, that Axel dude,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
The smallest apartment guy. Y'all
seen
seen
that.
him?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I seen that. Yeah, man.
Type
and,
shit.
And it was honestly like, it was crazy because at this point now I'm like, I have this room, but I was using it more of like a place just to crash at.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wanted to wake up and get out of there and like go do things in the city all day. So for like a whole year I was like networking and, it's so funny because like looking back, during Fashion Week, I would sometimes like go out in the streets with my camera. And I would like go up to some of the models going to castings. I'd be like, hey, can I get your portrait? Can I because I'm trying to practice,
Of course, yeah.
Mhm.
And I remember getting turned down a lot. I mean, it makes sense now, but at the time I was like, man, like, why won't they like be down? You know?
Yeah.
I want to, I'll send it to them.
Was there any like cool ones that stood out that like actually let you shoot them in?
Yeah,
whatnot?
there was a few that were like, yeah, for sure. And then like, I'd be like, oh, could you stand there? I'd direct them and, I'd send them the photo. But some of them were like, no, I gotta go. And like now being in the space, like, when you're on the go, like
Yeah.
sometimes you're running
Yeah.
late and it makes
Yeah,
sense.
of course.
You get it
Yeah.
now,
I
yeah.
get it, man.
But it's like back to the School of Visual Arts, like you never would have gotten that type of experience, like
Right. Yeah.
being there.
Yeah, because a lot of it was like more about the history of photography, more the technical side of things.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember there was one professor that I talked to, and he was like, "Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. You only really need to learn photography in school for a year. The rest is just like
Getting out in the field. And
right. The
doing that
other
shit.
3 years, because it's 4 years to get your BFA. That's what I was trying to get, my bachelor's of fine arts in photography. And he was like, the other 3 years are just like retouching on things that you already learned about.
You're pretty much just doing it for degree's sake at that point
Right.
to get that little piece of paper or whatever
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah, and during that time, dude, like I was like, I need this piece of paper in order to like get jobs,
Right.
because there was no
That was the in for photographers.
right.
But I mean, I'm sure you started to notice, like, was that creeping up in the back of your head? Like, maybe this isn't the only fucking way. Like, now that these companies are reaching out independently
Right.
without me having this paper and all that.
Yeah, because then I was like, wait, so I went to Fashion Week without even having this degree. And then I started noticing like these little, like they were connecting me with like a few brands. I think Puma was one of them. Just brands that they were working with at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wait, none of them have asked me for a degree. They don't even care about
Yeah.
if I graduated high school,
Yeah.
So
They
that's
fuck,
when
they fuck with your shit. That's all
yeah,
that matters.
exactly. And then like it all hit me, and I was like, well, imagine graduating college after 4 years with the same photography degree as every other student that graduated that same year, and like going to like a magazine and everyone's shooting the exact same way.
Everyone's trying to get the same gigs.
Right. And it's like, do you have all the same style? You all know that's the same, like, you know, you have the same kind of like mentality because you learned the same thing.
I want to talk about your style, like
Yeah.
now that you bring it up, because I remember when like my first Bryant photo that I posted, I'm like, damn, like this shit is
clean as
different,
fuck.
Yeah.
bro. Like this is all I want to fucking post.
Yeah.
Like, how did you
It was
develop?
like addicting as a creator.
Yeah, like
man.
however, like whatever, like filter or like editing, however the fuck you make your photos, the way you make them is like. At the time, like when I saw that shit, I was like, this is next level. I've never seen any photos like it. How did that come about?
Yeah. So partially is because like I love shooting film, but I couldn't afford it at that time. So what I was doing is like I figured out a way to make presets to like to emulate film. So it's like the
Got
grain,
you.
the colors.
The grain, I feel like the grain.
digital
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
I was like,
The
bro,
digital
this
film.
shit
Yeah.
is hard.
Yeah.
That's very true now that I think about it. I'm
Yeah.
like, there's something so raw about your photos, but like still so clean and like crisp at the same time, you know?
Yeah. And during those times, man, like looking back at 2014 when everyone's like, what iPhone was that? I think it was at the 5?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe, yeah.
Probably the
Yeah,
5,
that's
5,
crazy.
6, something like that.
And it's like, I'm sure like the DSLR that I was shooting all of you guys with was like a lot higher quality than the 5, you know? And so it's like everyone's feeds on Instagram was like iPhone 5 pictures and then like a DSLR. Like,
Yeah,
high
crazy
quality
nice.
picture.
that
Bryant
one always
photo.
stood the fuck
Yeah,
out, you know?
yeah,
It
and
was
it
like a
was
sore
like-
thumb in that bitch.
Right. And it was like, that was cool. And now it's like, dude, the iPhone, what is it? We're at the 13 now?
13.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's great.
It's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
You know?
It's sick.
Yeah, and it's like I love taking pictures with it, you know, and there's so many apps now where you can like emulate film, and you don't even have to have a film camera really.
For sure.
But
Technology is-
film does
Film,
look
yeah.
like it's the best. It's
Right.
the OG.
Right.
It's
there's something about it, bro.
nostalgic,
Get it developed, you know? Like, I feel like it can never be fully emulated, but like,
Right.
at this point, it's like,
It will
if you
be
put two side by
eventually, yeah.
side, like, people probably wouldn't even be able to tell, like, which one is the actual film camera photo
Yeah.
and which one was taken on a digital camera and
unless-
treated as film, you know?
Yeah, no, like I've definitely tried challenging myself. Like, okay, like I'm gonna look at a few pictures and try to guess it, you know. And I think when you've been in the space for so long and you stare at pictures all day, there's little things that you pay attention to realize, oh, this is an iPhone.
Like, you can notice, like,
Right.
if you put two
Right.
side by side.
yeah.
But the average eye probably, like,
Yeah, no, I mean it's like you just see grain and like a certain tone, and people think, oh, it's film, but it's like no, I pay attention to like highlights and the way, like I don't know, it's
Yeah.
so
You
that was
see
the
shit.
whole like theme of what you're trying to do was
Right.
take digital photos and make them look like kind of like they're based in film in a sense. And
Yeah.
man, that's crazy.
trying to
bro.
give it like a timeless feel because I feel like film is timeless. Like, you know, you can
Yeah, for
take
sure.
a picture of someone wearing denim jeans and like a vintage like I don't know Budweiser shirt in Venice Beach right now, and it's like when was that taken?
It's such a moment in time, bro.
yeah.
It's such a
Yeah.
It's
snapshot
like the
of
little
history. you feel me?
fucking, you know, you see like Johnny Depp, Brad Pitt, Leo,
Yeah.
like all these icons, right? These cultural icons, and you're like,
I think I know exactly what photo you're talking about.
there's
too,
all
right?
these different. Well, yeah, that one
Yeah.
specifically when they're leaving the club is just great. But then there's like, you know, the random ones. Like I'm thinking of one like Johnny Depp opening a refrigerator, and you're like, bro, like that could be a fucking 19-year-old today,
Right.
Yeah.
Because like that's our kind of like younger us, and then the generation like below us as well. That's like 15 through 20 right now is like so dope. Honestly, like they're coming back to like 1980
Mhm.
or
Right.
even before
Mhm.
that,
I feel
maybe
like-
1960.
Yeah,
grunge.
nostalgia always like makes its like run around. You know, it goes in
Sure.
cycles. You know, like
Yeah,
oh,
for sure.
overalls were hot like
Trends,
4
yeah,
years ago
trends, yeah.
randomly.
History
Fucking
repeats itself.
Polaroids were hot for a while. Like I feel
Yeah.
like they kind of died out a little bit.
Style's dope right now. It's kind of
Yeah.
sick. Wait, but I'm curious. So from 2012 when you dropped out to when we met you, maybe in like December of 2013 or something like that.
Yeah.
What were you doing, and how did that kind of like?
Yeah, how'd you get back
It
out
was a-
here too? Yeah.
I mean, those years were rough, man. I think after, you know, living in New York, like when I wasn't going to school anymore, it started snowing like a lot. And it was around that time like where it all hit me. I was like, man, like I can't even shoot outside. Like I think it's snowing like
Yeah, it
pretty
is.
bad right
It's
now
like
in
a
New York.
foot in New York. Yeah.
So it was like that. Like
New York
you
winters
know?
are brutal as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But did it fuck up your camera at all, like stuff like that, or not?
Yeah, I mean, it was like I was always worried that it would definitely lag,
Yeah.
you know, and no one wants to shoot outside. My like
Oh, yeah, that's
I had
true
to be
too, yeah.
wearing gloves. Like my fingers would freeze, my face would like just be ice cold.
You're almost like, let's get this shit over with.
Yeah.
I kind of had to rush it, I'm sure, sometimes.
Yeah. And so I just kind of hit a point where I was like, okay, I need to get a job, like if I want to be living in New York. So essentially, I started. I got a 9 to 5. I was working at a retail store on Broadway, American Apparel, and when I was there, man, I was just like, it kind of was a wake up call, you know, because I was like, okay, now I'm just working to live here, you know, and I
Yeah.
don't really have time to do photography, you know. So I was just like, man, all right, whatever. Like I gotta like, you know, I got this is like my way.
You were
of
just going
paying
through the
rent.
motions, essentially.
Right. And so I was just like, okay, once the winter's gone, like I can start shooting again. But it was around that time I actually got an opportunity that Tumblr sent over to me. They had like this brand called Tree Torn, and I believe they were like under Puma. I don't even know if they're still around, but they were more of like a hiking, just like adventure kind of shoe brand. And they ended up booking me to like travel cross country, like on a trip with like 2 other photographers. And it was like the whole concept was like, you guys are going to be shooting all of it on Polaroid, you know?
Interesting.
Yeah, and it was sick, and I was like, oh, I'll take it. You know, I've never traveled cross country, and I forget which states we hit, but it was like definitely like a 5-day trip, or like maybe like a whole week, and that was like a huge wake up call. You know, that's when I was like, okay, like I need to continue doing this, and I need to like find a way to like get out of working this 9 to 5, you know. But then it was around like 2013.
Vine.
I actually so. No, I think I met you guys 2014.
I think it was
Yeah,
2014.
beginning of 2014.
Yeah, so like I actually got an email from this clothing brand in Orange County, and you know, which is where I'm from.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Yo, we would love for you to shoot like our lookbooks for a whole year. You know, would you be down to like come in for a meeting?" And I was like, "Dang, this is huge."
And you're still in New York at this
Yeah,
time.
I'm still in New York, and I'm like, "All right, well, I'm gonna fly back to my parents, and I'm gonna go take this meeting." And I remember I went with my brother. And they basically sat down with me, being like, "We're such huge fans of your work. Like, we want you to like work with us for a whole year, put you on a year, like, you know, like monthly payment." I've never had that before, so I was like, "Oh, okay." And they basically were like, "How much would you charge us to like deliver all this?"
Damn.
That's so sick.
And you've
Yeah.
never been asked this before,
I've never been
have
asked,
you?
and
Like,
yeah.
how do you answer that shit?
They're like, "We need lookbooks, we need social assets, we need like this and that." Like, it was like a lot of deliverables, and
$1 million.
I need $1 million.
yeah, I remember like
Just keep it clean, 7 figures.
Yeah. Yeah, so, you know, we'll start there. But yeah, so basically like I was like, "Yo, can I have a second?" So I stepped outside my brother, and I was like, "Dude, how much?" And
It's like some Shark Tank shit right here.
Yeah.
Right? Like where they take the little
No
sidebar
deal.
meeting.
yeah, no deal. I'm not interested, you know. But no, so I walked in and I was like, look, this is like I don't even remember how much I said, but it was a lot. Because I was like, "Yo, if I'm gonna be living here, like really just like diving deep into this
A whole year, yeah.
a whole year, you know."
You were telling him a monthly salary or a yearly annual salary?
So it was how much I wanted to get paid throughout the entire year.
'Kay.
But every month, like obviously they like split that up.
Yeah.
You remember the general ballpark? Was it like
It was
over 6, under 6?
million.
Like $1 million? Sammy's still stuck on his million.
nah, it was definitely under $100,000, you know. But it was you
Still
know,
a grip to
Yes.
make that and not really know like what the fuck
I mean,
you're doing.
it was probably more you were making at your 9 to 5, yeah?
I mean, dude, I was exactly. Like I don't think I ever seen any money like that.
That's
before,
crazy,
you
bro.
know. So I
Did
threw
they
that-
say yes to whatever you said?
Yeah, they said yeah. They were like, I
They're
threw
like,
it at them. They're
You're
like,
"It's a
"Fuck, I
steal."
should have gone higher.
yeah, yeah. They're like, "Done. Like sounds good." And I was like,
Damn.
"Whoa, like okay, well I gotta leave."
Actually, I need doubles.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, did I say that number? No, I meant this. you
Yeah.
know? So basically, after that, I ended up, you know, leaving New York because I was like, I don't have anything going on there. I'm not making money. I'm just, you know, whatever. So I moved back in with my parents, and I started doing that, and that's why I started like making my money as a photographer.
Stacking, too.
Yeah,
Living
man.
with the rinse, like no
Yeah.
fucking
I finally got my
rent-free-
first car. You know,
Oh, that's fire.
I
The
had a black-
Prius?
yeah, the black Prius.
I remember that, bro. You
Mhm.
like made that dope.
Yeah.
Did you like? It wasn't stock. It was like you
No.
put money into that.
No. So I actually ended up buying it used.
Okay.
It was like 2 years old when I bought it at a used dealership. But yeah, it came with like black rims, and it was like all decked out.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and it was already tinted, and I remember I was just like, okay, cool, I'll take it. Like,
That's a flex to do that to a Prius of all
Yeah,
It
work,
was
you know what I'm
nice.
saying?
I remember. I loved
Yeah.
whipping around with you.
Yeah, and
You're the
then-
only person we knew with a car in LA. We were
You could like fucking
"Fuck
drive
Yeah,
at the
we're
time,
going
yeah.
with Bryant tonight.
right. Everyone, dude, there'd be like 6 people in my car, like
Piled
crammed,
the fuck in
you
there,
know?
bro.
Yeah.
After
and s-
playing like soccer, we're like sweating our ass
And
off.
so
Yeah,
then, okay,
I
while
remember
you were
that day.
doing work for this company in OC, did you start like shooting with more people? Like, you know, I'm sure you had more free time than when you had your
Right.
9 to 5, yeah? So.
Yeah, so then obviously I went back to like, you know, shooting more for Tumblr. I was just like, okay, well now at this point, I'm collaborating with people that live in LA. And so it was a mixture of both. And it was around this time actually where a modeling agency that represented Alexis Ren ended up reaching out to me. And this is 2013.
I didn't realize she's the first like influencer that you worked with.
she wasn't even an influencer at the time.
Oh, she didn't-
She was like a new face model, like just
Oh,
completely
shit.
like she just like
Just a
had
normal hot
just
chick.
started modeling.
It's just a cute
Oh,
girl.
watch.
Yeah, man. And it was just like, they basically like had me shoot with her, and we had like a whole team. And I remember at the end of the shoot, I was like, yo, like we should like keep shooting, like like let's link up in the next few days. and
Like
do another one.
outside of this,
Yeah.
scheduled shit with the
Right.
company and yeah.
Right. And it was just like, let's just create. And she was like, yeah, let's do it. And so, now I'm doing this like monthly, job, shooting like lookbook stuff with this brand. But then now I'm like creating content still for my Tumblr. And Alexis and I, we just kind of like at that time, I think we had like 30K maybe on Instagram.
Mhm.
And like we were like kind of at the same. And she was already like posting a bunch of stuff on Tumblr and on Instagram. And that's kind of where it all started. From there, I remember Cameron ended up following me on Twitter. And I got a notification one day when I was with her. We were at the beach, and I was like, "Who's Cameron Dallas?" And she was like, "Oh, he does he's on Vine and I think he does YouTube." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I like checked out his stuff, and I was like, "Oh, cool. Like I'm gonna follow him back." So then we started DMing on Twitter, and that's when he was like, "Dude, I love your stuff." Like he's like, "But I'm gonna be in New York for a few months because like I have some like meetings and business stuff out there." And I was like, "Well, I know New York. Like I'm down to fly out there, book a hotel, and we'll do a shoot, And so that's when I did that. I ended up flying to New York. I booked I remember it was at the Standard Hotel, really nice hotel. It's like by the
Standard.
In
Highline.
meatpacking?
Mhm.
Yeah,
I love that.
Is that the
hotel.
one? Is that the one with like the walk thing above it?
Yeah,
like
the Highline.
The,
Yeah.
the Highline.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Highline,
yeah.
bro.
yeah. So I ended up booking a room there because it was one of my favorite hotels, and I was like, oh, cool. Like I'll tell him to come over. We'll do a shoot here because the rooms were like pretty sick. They're very mid-century modern.
Yeah, they're
Mhm.
dope.
Yeah.
The shower's like, it's like its own room almost.
Right,
I might
right.
be tripping.
No,
but
I'm like the glass, like you could see
The
shower
glass
from
Yes.
the room.
in the bed.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the glass
yeah.
separated that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he showed up, and I remember he had a bunch of his like he brought a few outfits, and then we ended up doing a shoot there, and it was interesting because like at that time like I had no idea the power of Vine. Like the only people that I was really following on Vine were like King Batch and Jerome Jar.
yeah, I
and, like,
love Jerome.
Jerome.
Jar.
Yeah, and like Will Sasso and like a few other
Oh,
people.
yeah.
Yeah,
The OGs. Yeah.
OG man, and I that's all I followed, and the rest were like probably like camera tips and stuff.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
you,
yeah.
yeah.
hacks and
6-second camera
Yeah.
tips. Like, how
Yeah.
do you even go to the fucking setting?
yeah, this is how you shoot this. Yeah.
Vine, yeah, Vinesworth.
Yeah, and so from there it was like I edited the photos right away, and I was just like, oh, I like these pictures, And so he ended up posting them on Instagram, and was like photo by Bryant, and then that's kind of where the whole photo by Bryant.
Photo by Bryant.
That
Yeah.
tag.
Yeah, man, and it was cool because like one thing that would like trip me out at like that day was like he's like, all right, man, well, great meeting you. He's like, let's stay in touch, When he left, my hotel room like phone started ringing, and I was like, this is odd. Like, is it the front desk? And I pick up the phone, and his girl's being like, is Cameron Dallas there?
Mm.
And I was like,
How weird was that shit?
That's when you like realized
I
the
was-
hysteria around all that
Yeah.
whole shit. I'm sure. Yeah.
yeah, and I was like, no, he's not here. This is Bryant, the photographer, like the guy who just shot with him. She's like, oh, okay, well, I saw his post, and I realized like he was there, and I was like, whoa, like what is happening?
Fuck.
Yeah, but
Damn.
I do remember obviously like once he posted it, like people were like started following me and stuff, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy because there had never been a photographer that I ever looked up to on Instagram that had a following because of the people they worked with,
right.
or like in the social media space.
Yeah.
Obviously photographers work with models and stuff, but
Of course.
Yeah, they got like 30,
Yeah.
60K maybe.
yeah. And so Cameron, I definitely had over 1 mil, I think, maybe. I don't.
He was
really
probably
know.
right around there. I mean,
Yeah.
2014.
Yeah.
I mean, bro, shortly, like you pretty quickly became like the most followed photographer on IG, right?
Which is wild because it was definitely like a mixture of the Tumblr following. Like it did like it wasn't like a crazy transition like how TikTok is now.
Some of them, like
Yeah.
a small percentage, would come over and
Yeah,
follow you on there. though.
Exactly,
Yeah.
the very loyal ones. And so once that happened, definitely gained like a few, Cameron like follower accounts. And then it was around 2 months later, he goes, yo, do you want to come to the Billboard Awards and and meet some of the,
BBMAs, yeah.
yeah, and he's like, do you want to meet some of the guys? Like, we're gonna be there. And I was like, yeah, like let's do it. I was always just like, let's do it, dude. I'm like,
Down.
why not?
Down, yeah.
Of course,
I have
bro.
the time.
What's it gonna hurt at the end of the day? You
Right.
feel me?
Yeah, and then so I went to the Billboard Awards, and that's where I met Nash. I think Carter was there, Matthew, and a few other guys were there. I don't think you guys went to that.
I'm trying to think. I know we went to a couple BBMAs, but I'm not sure if we went that year.
Yeah, that it was.
I'm trying to think the first time like we actually met in person, and I can't like put my finger on it.
I do remember where actually we met at that.
You
one,
remember?
Yeah, it was that house that we all had for like a week.
Mobley?
No,
Was it-
not the Mobley
not the
house.
Mobley.
It was like on Hercules.
Bro, with the chef and oh my fucking god,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah,
up in
yeah,
Mount
yeah.
Up in Mount Olympus.
Yeah.
Bro, that was the same week like with Mobley we went down to the beach house. I remember
Right.
from that crib.
For Carter's
birthday.
Yeah.
Bro, that's exactly when it was. That house was dope as fuck. That was
Yeah.
a vibe. Yeah.
And obviously like I was hearing from the guys like about you guys be like, oh, they're gonna fly in, they're gonna come in, like everyone was super excited.
I remember what it was. We got there, we go into someone's bedroom, like there's people hitting the bong. The Mount Hercules house, or the Hercules.
Oh, bro! The first time I ever met Bryant, I threw up.
Because the bong rip, right?
Because of a bong
Yes,
rip.
I remember
Yeah.
that room upstairs.
What is that
Yeah,
possible,
bro? Because there was this chef who also owned the house or something.
Yeah,
Something
yeah,
like that.
And
that's
he
his
like
place.
if you stayed there, rented it, he would cook, and so he cooked, and like we were like, all right, so we like smoked a little bit, and then we like bashed on like an insane amount of food, like way too much food. I probably would have puked regardless of the bong hit, but there was this one bong hit directly following dinner, and just like like when you can't catch your
coughs.
breath, you like were coughing.
You just
coughing.
keep coughing. Yeah,
It was
yeah,
such a
yeah.
severe cough that
I
like
gotta throw up,
you're
but
choking
it-
on your own throat.
It
type
was
shit.
so funny. I just remember that specifically.
That's crazy though. That was the
Hercules,
first.
Is that where like Franco's old?
It's literally 4 houses
Yeah, same.
north of
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Franco's.
Okay,
yeah,
okay, okay.
Mhm.
yeah.
That was
and
the
I
first
just-
time we met though.
That was the first time I
we
ever
got Bryant.
smoked inside. Like, I
Oh,
was
yeah,
like,
of
damn,
course,
this is
bro.
crazy. Like, I didn't even know this was legal.
Are you kidding me? High school shit. You had to
Like,
like
do
you know
it.
sneak out
You
the
guys had
car.
to
or
get cold
some
and go
shit.
outside. and-
Yeah,
bro,
it was
facts.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
Carter's birthday or
Yeah,
something.
that
Mobley
was
House. We
Mobley
were just
House.
talking about that while you
in
were gone.
Venice. Oh, that was sick.
Which is crazy because you guys, I don't know if you guys remember, but that used to be the Snapchat headquarters before before Mobley took over.
Really?
So they used to be there. Yeah, it was like really, really small. There was like maybe 5 employees, and then obviously Snapchat
Damn.
got bigger, and then they moved to bigger spaces.
That's wild. Look
Yeah.
at what the fuck Snapchat's done since then.
Yeah,
bro.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
They're still killing
that
it.
guy held off. They tried to buy it for like $1 billion. And now
30 billion, I think.
well, I
and then
think
it went
originally,
down.
Originally, like
Oh,
someone
yeah,
made an
yeah, yeah.
offer like back in the day.
Yeah, you're probably
And now
you're for
it's
sure
like-
right.
Oh yeah, it went down quite drastically after that.
Yeah,
offer,
like
I
he got
remember.
offered 30
Spiegel.
billion, and then he turned it down, and now it's like 15. But he's still gonna make.
I'm
it.
sure he's not
It's
tripping
so
too
much
much,
money.
bro.
What,
You know
was
what
it?
I'm
Was it
saying?
Facebook that tried?
I think.
I think they tried to
yeah.
acquire him for like 20 bill in like 2016. or some
Facebook just
shit
tries
like
to
that.
big body everyone.
Everybody.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, bro,
Monopoly.
Zuckerberg kind of scares me.
But
I
it
don't-
makes you wonder, like, if they did buy Snapchat before they bought Instagram, would they have bought Instagram? And if they didn't buy Instagram, would Snapchat be more popular
That's a
because
good
of
point.
the acquiring?
Instagram just now is Snapchat, like in a sense.
I
You
know
can
it
do all
took
that-
over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I only use Snapchat to look at Daily Mail.
I
I swear to God,
I have
that's
like
the
a
only time I ever
family
use
group chat, but I'm logged out of my Snap. You have a relationship with Snapchat?
I do, yeah.
I need someone
Oh,
to
yeah,
help
I
me
got
get
you.
it because it's an old email and an old number.
Yeah.
So, and I got the 13, so everything transferred over except for
and you
my
got all the Snap
Snapchat.
memories in there
Yeah.
too. You know,
I got great memories.
those are great archives, bro. The
Yeah.
fact that they save everything.
And me and my cousins, for some reason, have only a Snapchat group chat sometimes. So like, we send that shit like every day, and I've missed probably like 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
They're probably like, is there
Yeah,
there
is he-
something
is he
he's
mad?
not
Yeah.
telling us? I
Yeah,
don't-
yeah,
Do people still post on Snapchat a
yeah,
lot?
a lot of people do, man.
I posted a Snapchat today, actually.
I saw
Yeah.
that.
I watch Bruce's a lot.
Yeah, I saw
Honestly,
that.
you post more than most of our friends.
Yeah.
I feel like
I post
I feel
there when I
like-
don't want to post on Instagram.
You're
Yeah.
just like,
Like stupid little things
Right.
that like
It's
I'm
less
just doing
pressure.
at the
Just for the friends, the
Exactly. Way
personal.
less like
I feel like people,
eyeballs and
like people that went to like college and our buddies back home. I feel like they use Snapchat a
yeah,
lot.
yeah.
I don't know why.
Because like streaks became a thing, I feel like in 2014, and
Right.
people
Oh my
like
God, I
really
forgot
gave
about
a fuck.
streaks.
I
about
still don't know
streaks.
what those are.
I don't either. I have
It's
no
just
idea what
like
that is.
if
streak
you-
for like you would just like Snapchat each other every day and you would get a streak
Every day.
Right? And
So
people
Oh,
would just,
so
like
you
the
don't
biggest
ghost
streak
someone
wins.
as long as
Yeah.
you don't.
there
ghost
was no.
someone.
It just was the thing.
There'd be
It
like
was-
200, it'd be 200 with a fire emoji next to it.
Yeah.
It's like if you miss that one day, then you gotta start back at one.
Yeah.
It was like a year and a half of Snapchat.
I remember at one point you could see who the best friends were and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what
Oh,
are they
people,
doing?
yeah.
people
Yeah.
knew who was hooking up.
You
with
could see
who,
other
yeah.
people's. You could see
That
like
was
who
good.
was.
Holy shit!
I would
You
see
have to,
like
got off it.
I would see like some like notorious like thought like in one of my homies. I'm like, oh, what's
Living
she
going
sending
at
you?
it.
What's she sending you, bro? But no, it's crazy. Once Instagram stories came out, I feel like I was like, oh, I'm never gonna use these. I'm gonna stay on Snapchat because like we were all posting very heavily like in early MagCon days on Snapchat, milking the shit out of that because it was a great platform.
Snapchat brand deals, damn near right.
Oh no, for sure, yeah.
Oh,
like
yeah,
Snapchat,
for sure.
what do you call them?
Dude,
Integrations
there
and
was,
shit.
yeah. I remember Nash had like some crazy Snapchat deal with Aquafina or something
Yeah.
like that. He only had to post like 4 times. I don't know. It's like,
That was when it was.
But it's
Trump.
wild.
Yeah.
I feel like I eventually just fell out of posting on Snap, and I was like all on IG stories. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once Instagram like added stories, a lot of people started only focusing on that because like, oh, I'm already here.
I
Anyways.
can do it all in
Yeah.
one.
Right.
Ease of use.
Yeah, but there's definitely still like a big community on Snapchat, and I think it's like the new generation too. It's so easy.
Did they do
to
like
use.
were they the first ones to do the filters too? where,
Yeah,
like your
they- I
face would
swear,
change. like,
Definitely.
Mhm.
I mean, that's honestly like, I don't know if you guys know, but I also make filters as well.
Yeah, we
Oh
were
yeah,
actually just
Yeah.
talking
we wanted to
about
ask
that.
you about this.
So part of the reason why I kind of tapped into all that was because of Snapchat. They're the ones that like showed me the basics of the these AR programs.
Creating your own filter.
Yeah, so I got invited to this Santa Barbara trip, and it was like to show us like these new spectacles because they also make glasses with cameras on it.
Right.
And they're like, oh, we're doing this like event, like a 3-day thing in Santa Barbara, and like we're gonna show you guys the version 3 spectacles before the public gets to see them, and they're gonna like, show us how to use it. We had to like test it, and send in some content. When I was there, I remember they had us like separated by like groups, like in different like, okay, these are the creators, the storytellers. These are they call them lens creators, and the lens creators, what they are is basically the filter creators. They call them lenses on these platforms.
Yeah.
And I remember there's like a group of 8 to 10 of them, and they all had like a hoodie that said Lens Studio, and I was like, I want that. Like I want a hoodie that says that because it was like it had like a little Snapchat logo on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so like whenever we'd be like on our lunch breaks, I would like go up to them. I went up to like a few of them and I'd ask them questions like, yo, like how do you like do this and do that? And they're like, oh well, if you want to learn, like come by at like I remember one person was
We
like,
got a
"Come by."
course. or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, like stop by like at 6 p.m. We're all gonna be together on our laptops and like swing by if you have like 15 minutes to spare. And I was like, yeah. So I showed up with my laptop. I downloaded the program, and I was like, look, I'm not like a illustrator, or I don't do like crazy 3D animations. I do more like color correction. Like I know how to make these like filters.
And you essentially already had filters of yours, like presets. I'm assuming that
Right.
you would use on your photos.
Yeah, on my photos, but there also is like another way to make filters, but it's for video. And for video, it's called LUTs. you
LUTs.
know?
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like a lookup table, and a few of them told me like, yo, if you end up making LUTs, for your Instagram for your Snapchat filters, it'll look better. Like instead of just copying and like copying like a Lightroom setting and applying it, because there's much more information in the LUT.
It was more like video catered.
Yes, yeah.
And it was like what for changing settings and lighting. I'm
Changing
sure it
settings.
helped with that. and
Yeah, like if you step inside like a room, it would like change to like blue.
It would adapt to that
right.
shit. Okay,
so
got you.
That's
Oh,
more
that's
like
cool.
yeah, it's just more information, and so anyways, I was like, oh cool, like I know how to make LUTs too. Like I've definitely dabbled in that.
Just like coding shit. Did you have to like code anything, or was it like?
It's like programs. They have like these programs that you can buy, and then like it's just like a big color graph, and you just can import your own videos that have like no filter on it, and then you could just test it and like preview
Okay.
it as you're making like the changes to the blue and all that.
Got you.
Yeah.
So that started on Snapchat.
Yeah,
But
So you're
now, like, I noticed yours, like, people who might not even know you
right.
are using Bryant filters on Instagram.
Oh, that Bahamas one is my shit,
Yeah,
bro. You
it's-
kidding
yeah,
me?
yeah,
yeah. Poppin'.
It's crazy. So
I feel pretty when I use that shit. I'm like, "Ooh."
yeah, it's also on TikTok now too, which is
Oh, no way.
something I'll get into. Yeah. So basically I started dabbling in that. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I was like spending like every day for like a solid 3 weeks, like learning this program and like diving deep into it. Like, how could you add grain? How could you add skin smoothing and all these things?
Yeah.
And once I like understood the basics of it, I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm a 2D filter creator. I'm not 3D,
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw that Instagram, had their own program. Because on Snapchat it's called Lens Studio, and then on Instagram it's called Spark AR. And-
Spark AR.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
okay.
and
I've
it's
seen that.
made by Facebook. So it's basically they're similar but different. Obviously they can't be identical, but like kind of like the settings are kind of in the same places. It's almost like opening up Final Cut Pro and like Premiere Pro.
Yeah.
Like, very different.
Just
you know?
because of like copyrights, they can't do
Right.
the exact same thing. like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, and so like I would have to like restart the entire project, and but still I would have the same LUT file like with the Bahamas one, and just import it and it would work.
And make it a Spark AR file instead.
Exactly.
Got
yeah.
you.
And so the Bahamas one was like that was obviously like the one that like really like took off. you
Isn't
know?
that like still one of like the first whatevers? Like when you like at the bottom, like where it shows the featured ones, like I
Yeah.
always see Bahamas. It's right
Can
there.
you
Maybe that's because
see-
I've used it a lot. I'm not sure how that works, but fuck
Can
it.
you see the, like, analytics behind it? Like, how many people use
Yeah.
that a day?
I'll pull it up, but
Oh, it's probably wild.
It's so nuts. Because all these huge creators are using it. Like,
yeah,
whether they know that they're promoting your thing or not, they're
Yeah, I'm
using
actually
it.
Curious.
Well, and like
Yeah.
even past
Fuck,
that,
that's
like
crazy.
bro, it like makes you look like fly as fuck.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I'm saying?
Yeah, it makes you look really
It's
good.
so cool that it says like by
By
Bryant.
Bryant.
Yeah.
Can people get to your? They can get to your Instagram page
Yeah, you
directly
can-
from the filters too,
Yeah,
right?
so
Click that.
if someone clicks like the top left where it says, you know,
By Bryant.
Bahamas by Bryant,
you-
yeah.
you get a little pop-up and it says like more from this creator, and you can also visit my page directly from there.
Oh damn! Like, did you notice when you dropped that shit? Did you see like a big like
Yeah.
uptick in followers and like
Yeah,
people,
which
like
was-
profile visits and shit?
Which was wild, yeah, because when I started making them on Snapchat, because it's all different, you know, on Snapchat, like you could click on it and then there's different ways to get to the profile. But when I first did it, I was like, I just want to make my stories look cool.
Yeah.
You know, I was because I actually didn't really post on Snapchat that much because I hated like the remember when you would swipe and it'd be like the black and white and then like the
Yeah,
really
yeah.
purple one.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I never posted on Snap.
So you were making like personal LUTs almost. So to
Exactly.
speak.
You know, I was like, oh, I want the sky to look this way and I want to look this way, you know?
Yeah.
So once I started doing it on Instagram, you know, I definitely noticed like a big, like a big, like, I don't know, my growth just went up like crazy.
Yeah.
And then people just started DMing and be like, yo, could you release more? Could you release more? And I was like, yeah, like, all right, I'll keep doing it.
How many you got on there at this point?
On Instagram, I want to say maybe like 7 to 9 around there. You know, I've just made so many at this
One
point.
for every mood, you know.
Yeah, you know, and it's like I'll make one and I'll forget about it and I'll make another one. And in the beginning, it was funny because I was kind of making, they were all starting to look very similar. Because like in my head, I'm like, this is like the perfect way of creating like how I want it to look. But then I'd be like, oh, dude, it looks exactly like
The other one I just
Right,
yeah.
right.
And I'm sure it's like that with like music as well. Like, I mean, I figured, you know, like, you know, making music, sometimes you're like, create a song, you're like, oh my God, it kind of sounds like the last one, you know?
No, for sure. I mean, everything might have like some reference from like, you know, something previous.
Right.
But it's the little tweaks that make it unique, you know.
Right, exactly.
Which I'm sure you realize.
Yeah, and it was you know, from that point on where I was like, okay, I guess this is like a new thing. And then COVID hit, you know? So when COVID hit, I was like, I can't shoot with people anymore. Like, I can't go outside. Like, now I have all this time on my computer. And that's where I started just like making a bunch, you know, and kind of like, you know, just figuring out ways to make them all super unique. But the Bahamas one, when I dropped that, I actually made it for a trip that I went to the Bahamas. Like, I made it probably like a week before. And I went with like a bunch of like the TikTokers that I was shooting with. And when I went out there, you know, I got to see it like finally in the Bahamas, and it looks sick. I was like, oh, the ocean looks really bright blue, and
It was like catered towards that setting.
Oh, that's
exactly.
sick.
But when I made it, I was in my bedroom, you know, and I was just like,
Were you like looking up like Googling like Bahamas photos as inspiration
yeah,
and shit? Like,
I was just downloading videos that like were at the beach, and you know, when you're making a filter, you have to think about it in so many different like settings. Like, how's it gonna look like in the snow? How's it gonna look like in the beach? You know, when you're inside your room. So it's like,
damn, there's so much more thought that goes into these than I
Exactly.
would have expected.
yeah,
you know?
and it'll take me like 10 to 15 hours to make one. You know, like,
Wow.
and I'm on my computer and I won't leave. Like, I'm like so glued. And I'm like, because I know if I step away, I'm gonna kind of lose, you know, what I have going on. Yeah. So it's just like, from there, I was just like, okay, cool. Like, I feel like this is the perfect one for the Bahamas. But anyways, like from that point on, man, it was just like, it definitely helped grow like my platforms a lot.
I want to see. Did you pull it up? How many people have
Yeah, the
used it?
analytics. I'm
So-
so curious. I'm sure everyone's curious.
So okay, so there's different like categories
Yeah.
for the Bahamas alone. There's something called impressions,
Yeah.
and what impressions is like the amount of people that have watched a story.
Using
Using
the Bahamas
that filter.
filter.
So if you watch like 10 stories a day, like that 10 goes to like those analytics.
Got you. Okay.
But it's
So,
fucking so much. I
In the
wouldn't love to get-
lifetime that it's been out, probably like I want to say almost 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
65.8 billion people.
Dog.
Damn.
That's
But
insane.
Drop the
it's
damn
not,
mic.
It's not people,
It's
but
cumulative.
it's like right.
Like-
yeah. How many
like,
people have viewed a
I
Bahamas
probably
story at
watched
any given
100
point?
of those. You know?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
but still,
Yeah.
fucking 60.
Yeah.
And so
65 billion?
then you can see how many people have posted with the Bahamas. I'm
Right.
guessing too.
So opens is how many people have swiped over to it, just like haven't done anything with it. That's 1.3 billion.
Jeez.
And then captures is how many people have taken a picture or a video with it, which is 507.5 million. And then
Half a bill.
yeah.
Slight work, bro. That's crazy.
it's wild.
Do you monetize this shit? Like, does Instagram pay you for this?
So I'll get to that right now. But basically, like right here, I'll show you. So as far as like shares, like the amount of people that have shared it, 111 million people have like shared it with each other,
like send the filter to somebody
Yeah,
else to
yeah.
use type shit.
which is wild. But yeah, so no, there's no
crazy.
monetization. And
Damn.
like, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, they don't offer it. And I think it almost just it's because it's not like a big thing. Like there is like a lot of like filter creators out there, but it's almost like going back to like YouTube. You know, like when Casey was like doing vlogs back then, like he wasn't getting paid through YouTube.
Mhm.
You know,
Pre-monetization era.
right?
Yeah.
And it's like for how many years that was YouTube around until they came out with like monetization.
Right.
So I kind of look at it that way too. I'm like, okay, the filter stuff is like has definitely taken off in the last 2 years, but it's still fairly new.
And also, tell me if I'm wrong. Like anybody who has the ability to could make a filter for Instagram, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, you know, unless Instagram is directly like sanctioning it from you, or like, you know, like Instagram didn't reach out and like have you build this, right? Like you
Right.
built it for this trip. So
Exactly. So
the fact that it blew up like has nothing to do with whether or not like you should be getting paid, I guess, because like
You're indirectly monetizing.
Yeah,
though, like,
you-
through
no,
the-
for sure.
A
I feel like they
little- it's like streams of music. At least give them a little.
no, for sure. I feel like they
Yeah.
need to make a way though. There could be a way because like if
There-
your
it
filter
will.
happens
There
to
will.
blow
There
like
will.
like yours did, it's like, bro, why would you not be reaping some of the benefits for Instagram's content being upped in a
Yeah.
sense, you know?
For
but
sure.
but the way that I figured out how to monetize it was I ended up creating an editing app called Everbloom. And
Okay.
so
Yeah, I've seen
I
that.
got connected with these guys that like had this app that already existed before, and it was very like I like that their aesthetic and their way of making the app, and I got connected with them in the beginning of 2020.
Okay, got you.
You know, when the filter started blowing up, because people were like, "Oh, I want to use this on videos from my Hawaii trip 2 years ago or whatever,
Yeah.
or my Bahamas trip," but they're like, "I can't because you have to shoot it directly from the camera, the Instagram or Snapchat."
Oh, true.
Because
So
this
that-
isn't one of those ones you can add in after,
Right.
like, or swipe through, like, you
Yeah.
know, the Paris and shit.
Right, and I was just like,
That makes
okay,
sense.
cool. Like, I can make an editing app and like basically have a subscription where people can like pay for the subscription and use all these filters on existing content.
You're innovative, Brian. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
thinking on your toes, finding a way to monetize.
What
it.
do you charge for the subscription?
It changed. We're actually like, I don't know if I could say this yet, but
You don't have to.
I haven't promoted it in a while just because we're making like big changes.
Yeah.
And like pretty soon we're gonna introduce profiles where you can like publish your things. We're tapping into the NFT space as well.
Yeah, I've been seeing that.
Yeah, and it's just like we're kind of just like moving away from I think charging people for the subscription part.
I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Fire.
That's fire.
Everbloom 2.0 around the corner type shit.
Everbloom. I like that name too. Everbloom.
Yeah.
It's really dope, bro. It just feels like a photo editing app. You feel?
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sure people like I don't know who's watching this or what they care about, but I'm sure people, you're surrounded by the world's biggest TikTokers, and TikTok is like the biggest thing in the world. Like I want to know, just like how I know how you got introduced to us and all the Vine kids in that era. How was it getting introduced to the whole new generation of that, and how did it come about, and what has that experience been like, and how does it compare to, our experience with
Are there
each other?
parallels? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm very curious.
Yeah,
too.
so it's crazy because I actually remember getting introduced to or hearing about Charlie and Dixie from a few people that were like following me. They were DMing me being like, "Have you heard of Charlie? Have you heard of Dixie? Like you should work with them."
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember I was like, "Okay, I don't know who they are."
Were you
but-
on TikTok at the time?
Yeah, I mean I had TikTok because it used to be Musically.
Ah,
Yeah,
that's
isn't that
right.
funny?
That's right.
Yeah, and
I always forget that shit, bro.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
and they gave me the username Bryant and they verified me and all that. So I
Mhm.
had the account just sitting there.
Yeah, us too.
But yeah, and I was just like, I'm not gonna post, Musicallys. I always wanted to post like aesthetic stuff. So, anyways, like from there, I ended up getting connected with Charlie and Dixie, and when I shot with them, I ended up going to this like address that their team gave me, and it was a house in Encino. And when I pulled up and I walked in, it was just like, they were like, oh yeah, just shoot there. Like it'll be fine. Like there's a pool, there's a garden. And I was like, okay, like I don't know what I'm getting myself into.
Mm-hmm.
And when I walked in, I remember just meeting a bunch of these like TikTokers that all had like their iPhones on tripods with ring lights.
Yeah.
But you want to know what's crazy, man? When I walked in there, I was like, whoa, like I'm getting Vine energy right now.
Yeah.
And it was wild because I remember being around you guys and be like, that's a Vine, like you
Yeah.
would film it.
You're
Yeah.
probably like, damn, I've like deja vu. I've seen this
It was
shit before.
crazy.
It's just
bro.
happening
And
again.
there was a huge gap like after Vine.
It was like 3-4 years.
Right, and it was just like it went from iPhone to YouTube content, which is DSLRs, to then Instagram, which is a mixture of iPhone, but mostly like DSLR.
Yeah, of
stuff.
course.
And so when I saw this, like everyone filming content from their phones, I was like, whoa, this is sick.
This shit's resurging again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I shot with Charlie and Dixie, and then everyone that was there was super nice. They were like, hey man, like love your stuff, huge fan of your work. I ended up talking to Thomas, who like he's the one that started the whole Hype House. And he was like, dude, like he texted me after. He's like, yo, you're more than welcome to ever shoot here again, bro. Like if you ever want to use this space to do your own shoots, like more than happy to like host you. And I was like, we talked about it. I was like, dude, we should do like a a group shoot, like
Yeah.
a big like everyone that is a part of this house. Like I'll book a studio in downtown LA, we'll lock it in and like see how it goes, you know. And so that was kind of the beginning of the Hype House and that whole group, you know.
And
from
what
TikTok.
month of the year was it?
This was
What year?
December of 2019.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so a little bit before the pandemic.
That's crazy. That might have been before even I was on TikTok at all.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, and it was just like, it was interesting because looking back, you know, when I was posting pictures of these TikTokers, I remember getting a lot of hate.
Really?
Yeah, man. I was getting a lot of comments being like, you downgraded from YouTubers and Viners to.
But yeah, I get it.
You
It's
know?
loyal fans. They don't want to see that like their favorite creators era is kind of like in the rear view, and now there's like these new creators who they might not even know that they might be fully fans of as well.
A year down the road, you know.
Yeah.
And that's just inevitable. It's like there's gonna be a wave. Like if they would expect you to not like hop on or like take advantage of it in some facet, that's just like very selfish of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but things evolve, and you evolve and
Yeah,
adapt
exactly, like-
so fast.
Yeah, you are great at adapting from like wave to wave, and like you know what I'm saying. Like
It's wild, man, because like I think, you know, just me figuring it out in the beginning when I was like 16, around that same
Yeah.
age, like I kind of see the way, you know, everyone works, and I see myself like I see my young self. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense, like
yeah,
when they're putting their energy and time into like creating something unique and cool, I'm like, I know how that feels.
of
like,
course.
you know. So, you know, when I started working actually with you guys, like on Vine, a lot of the people that were following me on Tumblr and even Instagram, that, you know, from my Tumblr followers, they were confused why I was working.
They were
with
probably
you
giving
guys.
you
they're like,
shit
bro,
too, right?
Viners,
Yeah.
fuck these
exactly,
kids. Yeah.
bro. And it was like, why are you shooting with these Vine guys? And I was just like, because I honestly, like, the way I looked at it as a photographer, I was like, okay, there's always been photography that has existed for like the Rolling Stones and like the Beatles. Like you could open up a photo book and see pictures of them being chased by fans and stuff.
Of course, yeah.
And I always thought to myself, someone took those pictures.
Hey,
know?
that's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
And so like being around you guys and like having that sort of love and like, you know, I was just like, I want to be the one documenting that, you know, and documenting you guys on your day to day to show that to the people that follow you guys.
That's
For sure,
vision.
bro.
That's
Yeah.
vision right
All,
there.
Yeah,
all
it
these
is.
moments that otherwise may go to the wayside and never have been captured. You
Right.
know?
Yeah, exactly, man. And it was the same thing like when I you know was around these TikTokers and they were all just like super like they're like, let's create, you know?
That fresh
Young and
LA
hungry,
energy.
dude.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
There's nothing like that.
Right. And I was just like, cool, like let's lock in the studio. And it was that studio shoot that just changed everything, dude. Like you know, they ended up starting an Instagram account for the Hype House. The TikTok account was made that day, and all of them were making TikToks while I was like, if I was shooting with 2 people, the rest of them were making TikToks for the account. And it was like 3 hours, man, of just like creating, you know? And the next day I got the film photos developed, started posting them, and then things just went crazy.
That's
Yeah.
crazy, bro.
You know, the
It
beginning.
was like Vine on steroids, like the way
Yeah.
that they all came up so quick.
It's
Right.
wild,
and
bro.
how there were more numbers, like the mass amount of people on
Just social media in general.
TikTok,
If
yeah,
you think
and
about it,
social
yeah.
media, yeah, it's probably 3, 4, 5 times as many.
So much
as
more you
there.
could do.
Like
on
it's
TikTok,
crazy, bro. Like
too.
what
Yeah,
it took us
yeah.
like 3 years to like build, like
Oh,
it
they did
probably
it in, like,
took
a
them like
month.
8 months. You know,
Yeah,
like,
no, like
type shit.
literally, like there's just so many
Crazy.
more people. The potential is like even more endless than we thought it was back then.
And more
course.
people are like social media savvy, so they'd be.
Especially the younger they are, like the
Yeah.
12-year-olds now, shit on the 12-year-olds in 2014. You know what
Oh
I'm
my
saying?
god, are you kidding me?
Like, I mean, yeah, no offense to whoever was 12 in 2014, but like the 12-year-olds, 13, 14-year-old, like they know how to use every app. They know
they're
every
savvy, bro.
interface.
They're savvy. Yeah.
Everyone's, you know, it's just crazy to see, to
Yeah.
witness.
Exactly. And it's like I've even come across like, you know, some video editors on TikTok, and I'll reach out to them and be like, you're so talented, like I've never seen this aesthetic before. And they'll be like, oh my God, no way, like I was following you when I was 13, 14.
That's
Yeah.
crazy too.
You
like,
know?
And they're like,
everyone
what,
in the game like
20
knows
now?
you at this point too, and it's like, what the fuck? That's,
Yeah,
it's got to
and-
be trippy, you know?
Yeah, and I was like, wait, what? And they're like, yeah, I was editing on like PixArt like back then.
Like
know?
you inspired me
You know,
type
like
shit.
making fan edits. And
Yeah.
now they're like amazing at like Final Cut Pro and like Premiere Pro and After Effects, because
Oh, yeah.
that was like the beginning for them.
Bro, think about how many people like started taking photos because of like the photo by Bryant craze. Wait, did you make merch of that ever? Did you ever do that? Because you should have. You didn't.
No, I never like really
Still
did it.
can.
I might have, yeah.
Yeah.
That
I
shit
might have
was
made
wild, though.
like a few like shirts, probably given them out to a few friends, but
Because I was gonna say, I feel like I remember seeing like a photo by Bryant shirt. It might have just been like
And
something
no,
more
actually,
intimate.
you know what? I did like a small drop with Fanjoy, I think. It was
Okay,
Fanjoy.
bet.
Yeah.
But it was out for like a few months, and then I was like, all right, like
That's wild though,
Yeah.
man. Thinking about like all the photographers who like might have like boisterous careers now, and they were
Yeah.
inspired by your shit like back in fucking 2014. Like, who the fuck
Oh, yeah.
knows, bro?
It's wild to think, man. I look back and I'm like, dang, like I have been doing this for a really long time, and I've seen different generations of social media, you know, and it's just like like I'm sure with you guys, like you think back to Vine and you're like, oh, that. I don't know if in your head, but it almost feels like it was 4 years ago. Like,
Short, yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
sometimes it's like that was a lifetime ago, and other times it feels like it was a second ago.
Yeah,
It's wild,
exactly.
bro.
Yeah.
And it's actually weird, like seeing a lot of these TikTok kids and like you almost feel like a godfather in a sense.
Oh, I
Like, I don't know.
I'm like, dog, like, look at my kids. It's just crazy. Like, they,
I'm just
like,
I'm proud of you. You know?
whether they
yeah.
know it or not, like, we
What would
paved the
you
way.
say? What would you say is the biggest difference between? Because I saw you posted that photo recently. It was
Yeah.
like all of us at the Avenue in the little back patio, wherever the fuck that was.
Yeah, that
up
was
at your
great.
Nash and Cam spot.
Yeah.
And then it was like side by side with the Hype House shoot, which was that the shoot that you were
That was
talking
a
about?
shoot.
That was the one.
Yeah, that was the one.
And I saw like everybody in the comments like, oh,
Freaking
go
out.
Vine, go TikTok.
Vine was
go-
better.
Yeah,
TikTok's
I'm not gonna
shit's on
lie.
it.
I think we
Yeah.
might have won that one based on the comments.
I mean, come on.
But I'm curious, what do you think is like the biggest difference between the two eras? Like, is there something that stands out to you as like, I know a lot of it's similar energy, like you said, but is there something that is glaringly different between TikTok and Vine in those eras?
Honestly, I mean, the thing is, the things that are similar is like everyone is just so excited to be around each other and just collaborate and create.
Yeah.
You know, the differences is like there's just way more opportunity now than there was back then.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the brand deals that I was seeing during Vine was like a Trident, like Vine, and, like,
Very random and,
yeah.
and here and that, far
Yeah.
and few. Yeah.
and it's like you would hear like 3 Viners being like, "Oh, they locked in that deal,"
Mhm.
like, because
Exactly.
that was the budget. you
yeah,
know?
they only had like that
The
much
social
money.
media budgeting for like all these major companies was not anywhere. Like think
Now
about
that's
think
probably-
about what it is now. It's probably
Right.
like 20.
It's probably like the biggest budget.
Probably
they
like
have.
50% of their whole budget is probably on social media.
Not even
maybe more.
Not even to mention it's the biggest like music platform too. Like
Right.
Yeah.
the biggest artists coming up right now are all getting cracking on. It's crazy. Like there was very far and few on Vine who actually like were musicians on Vine who got like cracking from Vine. But now
Yeah.
I'm like,
Sean,
damn,
yeah.
it's wild. But
Yeah.
yeah, so you're saying okay, brand I guess integration is much bigger in TikTok. Which,
Yeah, and it's just like also the opportunities. Like imagine on Vine back then, you were like, "Oh, I wish I could sit front row at a Louis Vuitton show."
Yeah.
It's like good luck, It's like,
Yeah.
but now it's if you have that, it's like, oh yeah, we know someone that knows someone that would be willing to invite you and
Of course.
completely like host you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's like it's cool, man, because for me is like even before Vine, when I had the Tumblr following, I was going when I was going to these fashion shows, it'd be like, cool, like you could go to this, but you would see all the influencers, the bloggers they would call them, sit in the back. They were
Yeah.
all sitting in the back, or they'd be standing in the back. And then as the years have gone by, I've seen them being prioritized a front row,
slowly
have a whole
moving up.
section, yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Sitting
think-
next to Kanye
Yeah,
type shit.
honestly, man. And it was
Yeah.
just like, I love that. Like, I'm like excited that the career that I decided to take, in the path, dropping out of college, ended up being like the best decision I ever made.
For sure, and it's
You
it's a
know?
market that's ever growing, and it's like inevitably. I mean, bro, like imagine like the metaverse influencers, like
Yeah.
Oh my god.
they're like these avatars. We're not even gonna know
We
who
don't
they
even know
are.
who they
half
are,
the
yeah.
time, and they're gonna
Yeah.
be fucking massive. It's gonna be weird, bro.
Yeah, I've already been thinking about what I want to do in that space.
In the metaverse space, yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about the NFT space. I know you've been dropping some of your work on there, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was, out in LA, anytime you go out, you meet like someone and they're like, "Yo, have you done NFTs yet?"
Yeah.
So I was starting to hear that a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were like, "Yo, you should like put some of your photography as NFTs." And I was like, "Yeah, like I want to, but part of the reason why I've never sold a photo book or a T-shirt with anyone's face on it is because the intention of doing that photo shoot back then was for social media only. And I'm not gonna like one day like imagine I
Now I monetize it.
right
Yeah.
imagine I made a book and had a bunch of art like the pictures from Vine and you're like, wait, whoa, like when did
Hey, I wouldn't give a fuck. Get your bag,
I
Brian.
know.
but no, I
but-
feel what you're saying.
yeah.
The morality of it, like internally, is probably got to be
Exactly.
conflicting.
Yeah, and so for me, it was like, oh, releasing an NFT of a photograph that I already shot or an old picture, like I would have to like go back and ask that person and get him to sign something and come with like a whole deal. So then I was like, okay, cool. Like if I do want to tap into this, I want to do it in a way that's like new stuff and like the people that I'm like working with know that it's going to be an NFT.
The intention off gate. Yeah, I
Exactly.
got you. Yeah.
And so I started doing my research. I asked questions. I met Cooper, which I saw was on your guys'
Yeah, I
podcast.
love Cooper, bro.
And he actually like helped me out a bit. And I asked, I was like, what platform do you think? And he was like, oh, hop on Foundation. And so I started using Foundation and noticed there's a lot of like film photographers and like graphic designers and all that. So I ended up releasing a few, and a few sold, and actually Cooper actually bought I think 2 of them.
He's so
No
supportive.
He's the
way.
realest,
So
yeah.
He's
supportive.
sick.
And
I think he's got like unlimited Ethereum or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He must,
yeah,
dude.
yeah. So I mean, but I heard on the podcast that you guys had with him, he was like, I just love supporting
Yeah.
photographers that want to tap in right now.
No, and I think a lot of people like want to get into the space but don't know where to start,
Right.
and I think like him, I see a lot of people list their music as NFTs, whether it's a single or like a crowdfunding, like Ethereum crowdfunding thing for a project, and I see he always like is buying smaller creators things, and I think that's what gives people the jump start. They're like, oh my god, I sold an NFT, like I can really take advantage of this space. I think he just wants people to all win in that
Yeah.
space
Yeah.
because bro, it's still so unregulated. It's gonna be regulated soon, and like if you're getting in now, like this is when. Like this is when your life is gonna change, as if you're getting
Yeah.
in right now,
Yeah, and another thing too is like going back to like wanting everyone to win is like that's also what I want, So I the NFTs that I've sold, I've done a 50-50 split with every single person in the picture.
That's fire.
Popular or not, you could have 10K or you could have millions. Like I'm giving 50-50 to everyone.
You're the subject, I'm the photographer.
Exactly.
Simple as that. Yeah.
That's
And
sick.
so before you mint it, like on the market, there's like a feature called split. And so in order for you to split it, that person needs to have a profile. You know,
okay.
it's like almost like tagging on Instagram.
Yeah.
So when you do that, you can decide how much of a percentage you want to give to the other person. And I've just been doing 50-50. And all these like the few people that I've sold NFTs with most of them are models, and they're like they have no idea. They're like, oh, like can you teach me how to make a wallet? Can you teach me how to like make my profile? And I've been doing that, So I'm like,
That's
hey,
so sick.
yeah. And so now they have Ethereum sitting in their wallet.
And they're
you
like,
know?
what the hell? Where did this go?
So I told him, I was like, look, like you don't really have to do much. I'll take care of the gas fees, whatever,
You just look pretty. I'll get you right,
yeah, and it's like,
I'll take care of the gas fees, baby. I got you.
I'll pick you up.
so
It's
man.
crazy. There's gas fees like just to like.
Just to have a transaction go through
Yeah,
the blockchain.
wild.
like it makes sense, but it totally doesn't
No,
at
I
the
mean,
same time.
There's a gas fee to mint it, and then there's a gas fee to list it. So what I tell people, it's like almost like you have to pay to post an Instagram picture, and then you have to pay to add a caption to it.
You got to account for that too.
But then
when,
people
like,
pay for it,
Yeah,
which is nice.
exactly.
And the craziest thing is like you said, the double pay, like on top of that. And the thing is like gas fees have been insanely high as of late.
Yeah, I've heard
really,
that.
really high. So now there's like a lot of different like cryptos that even if you're transitioning like Ethereum into Bitcoin, there's a gas fee to just like change it into a different. You know what I'm
Everything,
saying?
yeah.
It's fucking ridiculous. But like now there's all these new kind of markets coming up with like different alternative coins that like have much lower gas fees. It's weird. I mean, it's only going to
And who
become more and
benefits
more
off
prevalent.
the gas fee?
Yeah, it's like there's no
like
government.
OpenSea, for example.
Okay, they're
Like,
the new government.
That's the
middleman,
yeah.
like the company.
It's their cut, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? The gas
Damn,
fee.
they're
for putting,
probably
yeah.
so.
Oh my
It's
God,
gonna
it-
get so regulated.
OpenSea.
Fucking weird.
Bro, they're
Yeah.
doing like
Like,
$20 billion worth of trading every single
Government's gonna own it.
month,
It's wild.
every
Or
month.
whatever the fuck.
I think Arizona is just filed a thing to make Bitcoin legal tender.
What does
Legal
that mean?
tender.
Like legal, I think tender is
Like
the
you
right
can pay
word.
for shit.
Like
in
you can,
Bitcoin?
yeah, like tender. I forget. They said tender, I believe.
I mean, it's
but
pretty wild. They already have
It's like legal. You could use it instead of cash.
You
Right.
buy like a cheeseburger with
Yes.
Bitcoin.
just
Yeah.
scan your fucking.
Point zero zero
your
zero.
I don't know why-
MetaMask
I don't know why
fucking
tender
QR
is a
code
word
and
that's-
shit.
but I swear it's tender.
I'm
He
just
was
thinking of a nice
Funny
like,
thing.
chicken breast.
This is actually interesting to talk about now that you're here. He was telling us one of his buddies had like this OG Vine. It was like where like the girl hits the vaporizer and like what is it? The
Oh, he goes, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was like this OG viral Vine, and he sold it as an NFT for like
really?
fucking
Yeah,
some
like
bands and like
companies were hitting him up like, yo, we want to help you make this into an NFT. We think it can make a lot of money. He doesn't do social media at all. He literally did that one Vine. Like that was it.
And he just
And
made,
it's just
like, a bag
it's
off
one of the
his
most
whole-
viewed Vines ever.
Yeah, it's like one of the OG like
Yeah.
Vine energy.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. Like with NFT, it's like, bro, you can sell fucking anything.
So they're like hopping into that, selling like Vines and stuff, I guess. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a wild market.
Yeah.
I read in your bio too, you're a UTA talent agent.
Yeah, man.
How did that shit come about?
You're an
bro?
agent?
No, I signed to UTA
Oh,
like
it's genius.
You know, like
Like-
J-Bo and all them, and fucking.
No,
Is
no,
J-Bo still there? I wonder.
Probably not. I mean, that's
You
like
guys
6
know
years
Ty?
ago.
Huh?
No, Ty Flynn.
No.
I mean, we were with them like way back in the day. Like,
Yeah.
I think that was the first talent agency we signed with, right?
We were with everyone. CA,
At some
UTA,
point, yeah,
WME.
We were getting fucking turned out like a whore,
Yeah.
whore on Hollywood Boulevard, you know. But yeah, how did this come about, bro? And like, what's your role there? What do you do?
Yeah, so basically, I got represented by them, and the way it happened was I met with one of my buddy, Justin Sterling.
Yes.
Yeah. So he
I'm not familiar, but
yeah. So he was talking to me, and he's like, dude, like, what do you like? What's next? Like, you obviously have everything you've done like, what do you want to do? And I was like, man, to be honest, like, I would love to be on like a Netflix set, like, or even if it's like an Amazon or like anything. Just like I want to be on these movie sets. I want to start working with music artists and do it in a way that still matches like my style. But the thing is, like, I don't know how to tap into that space, you know, because you can't just DM like a Euphoria actor or actress.
Can I pull up on set?
Yo,
and-
like, yo, are you free? Like,
But
to
you
walk
can.
You can.
You can, but like,
can.
what are
Might
the
not
odds
work,
of
but,
what are the
like,
odds
right.
of like
You
HBO
can definitely do it.
allowing outside
Yeah.
photography? You know, the chances of it leaking. I'm
Right.
sure there's a lot of like, you know,
Exactly. yeah.
precautions set
That's
in
true.
place.
That's true.
Yeah, so it's like you need to like go in through the right way. You can't just like show up, you know? So basically I was like, yeah, man, like I want to like start doing this. And he was like, have you ever, you know, thought about like maybe it's like signing to an agency, like talent agency? And I've heard really good things about UT. I mean, I know so many people sign with them, and I've seen them go from like filming YouTube videos in their room to like starting businesses, you know, that are very
Straight up.
successful and like just like their career like going to the next level. So I ended up like, you know, meeting with them and I told them like kind of like where my head's at, and they were very familiar with exactly like everything I've done. Like they were like, oh, we've seen that you've done this, that you've
That's
worked with this
sick.
person. So I was like, oh, this makes sense. Like they're not just like they have no idea who I am, you know, like they actually know.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of back and forth, and then eventually I was like, you know what, I think it's time. It's time to like sign with UTA, and you know, we have some really cool things that I want to work on this year.
Have they gotten you like on some of those sets that you've been aspiring to,
So-
like, you know?
So I signed with them around the holidays. You know, obviously like that's
Yeah,
office
everything's
closed and
slow,
stuff.
yeah.
But yeah, right when like everything opened up, we just been on like Zoom calls and stuff.
That's
And
fire. Planning.
Yeah, the first
Scheming.
thing they asked me was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, NFTs. Like I want to do that, because originally I was gonna do like a photo book. I was like, I want to start building a book and like
That'd be sick to have like that Tom Ford book, you know, on everyone's
Yeah,
coffee
man.
table.
Yeah.
By Bryant book.
That'd be.
Yeah.
I could see
You know?
that.
Yeah, and I think it's like I have enough stuff to like to make a book at this point.
You would have a
but
sick lookbook, bro. It
yeah.
would be so dope.
yeah, and it's like, but it would have to be like, okay, we have to make the right agreement to like reach out to people and get them to be a part of it and agree
I
to
feel
be
you.
in the book. So it's a lot of planning out. But at first I was like, you know, seeing the NFT space take off, I was like, let's just focus on that for now,
Yeah.
you know? And yeah, man, they've already got me like some pretty cool meetings with different markets and stuff, like platforms.
So that's like
Yeah.
what's on the horizon, because like that's I definitely wanted to ask
Yeah.
that before we wrapped. Like, what is the next few years of Bryant Eslava looking like? You know,
Yeah.
what's
I mean, definitely, you know, I'm going to be creating more NFTs and doing more of the 50-50 split with people. I eventually want to make a collection that is called the 50-50 collection.
Damn, that's sick.
Yeah, and it's like a way for me to like just get people in early, you know, and educate whoever I'm photographing. Not only the people I'm photographing, but also the makeup and like makeup artists and stylists and everything.
for sure? I'm sure they're probably all asking on set, like, what is
Yeah.
this shit?
Yeah, and it's like I want everyone to win.
And they'll thank you
You
later
know?
down the
Yeah,
road, bro. Trust
exactly.
me, they'll
Yeah.
fucking thank you.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's dope.
Yeah, and it's just like I think that's gonna be the new way of like doing freelance work. Like imagine, you know, just because people back then or like now they'll go to a photo shoot and they'll just do the makeup and then for an Instagram tag, you know,
Mhm.
and it's like it's gonna get to a point where it's like, oh, okay, we could do that, still post it on Instagram, but if we sell it as an NFT, we all win,
Yeah.
you know.
Dubs,
So yeah,
dubs across the board. I feel
Yeah.
you. That's
just that and like, you know, working with more talent and just making a photo book, and yeah, man, that's definitely the future for me.
I
That's
love
so
it, bro.
sick.
Random question: have you ever thought of like, are you fully in on photography? Would you ever do anything in like the videography space? Has that ever even like piqued your interest?
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely be more in like the movie like film, like Kodak
Yeah.
film. And I've been around a few videographers and I've tried some 8mm, but maybe in the future. I just like photography is just something that I don't know if I'll ever be like able to let go.
No, I feel you,
Yeah.
bro.
Oh, yeah.
Is there any photographers that you got like beef with?
No, no, actually, nah, man. It's everyone. I feel like in the photography space kind of just stays in their lane, you know, and like just
Yeah.
does their own thing and whatever works. But I actually don't really spend too much time looking at photography like on social media. I go more for like the photo books.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
You know, like I'll go to like there's a little store at the Grove called Tashin. It's like a book publishing company,
Okay.
and they're the ones that sell like the big, you know, coffee table books.
Yeah.
That's the type of stuff I'm looking at.
That's
I
sick.
feel you, bro. Like
Yeah.
making this shit like into physical, you know, type shit.
Yeah, and it makes me just think like, why is this in a book? And it's like, oh, because of the way it's shot and like, you know, the storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love those books.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
sick
they're
as
cool.
fuck.
They're great.
I have
It just-
so many at home.
It makes like the room look like just dope.
Rich.
Yeah, rich.
I'm just curious because you asked about the photography beef, which like, you know, it sounds like it's not too apparent in that. I'm curious though, what Has there ever been like somebody that you've seen on social media? You're like, yo, they're clearly biting my style. Like they're fucking ripping off
for
my
sure.
shit.
I mean, honestly,
And like, have you ever thought to like call them out, or is it just like you?
Can you imagine? It's just like mad photography beef. Just like.
Well, I'm sure, bro. Especially like your style is so like prevalent.
I would just take it as like a compliment, you know. It's
Yeah,
like-
I mean,
Imitation's
it's like
the
Drake.
sincerest form of flattery.
Yeah.
Bryant's on a much higher level than those people.
Yeah.
No, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah, it's like wasted energy if you even do reach it. But
no,
yeah.
honestly, man, like around those days, like the Vine days when I had like that look, you know,
Mhm.
the digital film look. Yeah, I would start seeing people, you know, try to figure out how to do it. These YouTube videos would pop up like how to Bryant edits.
How
Oh,
to?
no way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it
That's
was,
flattering.
Yeah, and I was like, that's cool. But
It's a
I,
Bryant
like I'd
type
watch
beat.
some of these videos. I'm like, I didn't do it that way, but like, cool,
Yeah.
you know.
Good try.
Yeah, but I would never like call anyone out and make like a whole scene out of it. I think I take it as a compliment. And a lot of these people have reached out to me in the past and been like, you know, you're a big inspiration. So I'm not gonna like trash them.
No,
Yeah,
I
of
feel
course.
you, bro.
You know, like
Seriously.
They're probably like trying to make it look exactly like yours because they're like, fuck, like
Yeah.
this is who
Inspired.
I look up to type shit.
yeah. And I mean, like honestly, dude, like I didn't even mention this, but I definitely like when I was on the like growing up and I went to New York, I remember I went to this photographer that I really looked up to. I won't call him out. But I went to his exhibition and I was really excited to meet him. I was like, oh my God, like this is huge. Like I'm finally gonna meet him in person. He had a little gallery show. I walked in, I introduced myself, and this dude was like 6'5", maybe, super
Wow.
tall. Was like looking over me, had a beer in his hand, like was not interested in anything I was saying. I walked out of it being like, wow, like that sucked.
And like also were you
Yeah.
like, that's
Yeah.
how I'm never gonna be if I get
Exactly.
this position.
And exactly, man. So that was one thing that I always like told myself. I was like, yo, if I ever get to a place where people like I'm people's inspiration, I will make sure to talk to them and like literally like answer any of their questions and just try to like educate them as much as I can.
I feel you, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a humble man, Brian. I
That's
think
awesome.
anybody can see it.
Here's fine.
Should we do a
you
little
wanna do a
few?
Should we do a couple Ask the Cast?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a few fan. I got a couple up here.
found a couple questions.
Got anything you love,
As you guys know, every week we like to do a segment called Ask the Cast.
Johnson loves this bit.
Depending on who we have on that week, you know, we'll let you guys know in advance. We posted on our story that Bryant was coming on. So let's see what the people have
What
to
do they
ask
want to
Bryant.
know?
Who's the most intimidating person you've ever worked with? This comes from Maya Wu.
That's a
My
good-
whoa.
I wouldn't say it's a person. I think it's more so like being on a certain set. You know, I remember I got booked to shoot a Tommy Hilfiger set, and it was
Yep.
like my very first like big production gig,
Mm.
and I was like the behind the scenes photographer. But even that, dude, I was like, okay, like I don't know if I'm gonna be in the way of this shot, like you know. So
Right.
I was very like intimidated, like walking up to set and seeing like a whole like clothing rack and like just all this talent.
Because
and,
you're
like,
used to just shooting with your
yeah,
camera.
I'm
and
like,
just-
I showed
yeah.
up with my backpack and like 2 lenses, and I was like, where do I put this?
Did
know?
you feel like a little out of place? Like,
yeah,
I'm-
they gave me a whole room. They're like, oh, this is your space. I'm like, I don't need all this, you know. But yeah, that's like in situations like that, I'm like, oh my God, like I'm like, but I have to remind myself like this is why I'm here because they like what I do.
They like
Oh,
your
yeah.
work, bro.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
the
yeah.
first Tommy set, you'd say that was the most like
Yes.
intimidating
Yeah, for
moment of
sure.
your career thus far. Who's your dream celebrity to do a photo shoot with? Somebody who you want to photograph really badly.
Man, I never really like had one. It was just more so like, if it comes, it comes, you know.
Mhm.
Just cause like I'm the same way. Like even when I do photo shoots, like I don't really love like having it all planned out completely to the T.
I feel you.
Because things change. Like, you know, when you're there, like the weather changes, and so I'm the same way with like having like my celebrity, you know, like person that I want to work with. Because if I don't, then I'll probably be disappointed. I'll be like,
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
That's
You know?
that's kind of good not to set that fucking thing.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Bruce, you got any others?
Yeah, I got one. What is one bit of advice you'd want to tell people going into your industry?
Yeah. So I think the most important thing that I always tell everyone that wants to tap into this space is like, I know money is definitely one thing that everyone is always like, well, can you make money doing it? You know? But if that's like your number one thing that you're always like thinking about, instead of like, how am I gonna get good at this and create, then you're going backwards.
It's the same in the
You
music
know?
game, bro. Straight
Yeah.
up.
Anything creative. It's like if you're thinking about money when you're creating.
Your art will not be as good. It's
Will
not gonna
not be
stack
good,
up.
yeah.
Right. And it's like, I mean, I was in high school when I started all this, you know? So it's like I had the time to like, you know, just do it at home. But even then I was just like, if this doesn't work out after high school, like I'm still going to keep trying to do it. Like, you know?
There's a passion. It's
Yeah.
got to be a passion first and foremost.
Exactly. So that's
Not
like my big
monetarily
piece of
driven.
advice.
Okay, that's fire,
cool.
bro.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Is there any more?
Yeah, let's see. I think I got one more in here.
One more finale.
Uno más. Do you
What,
speak Spanish?
what are we sitting at
Yeah.
right now?
First
Nice.
language.
Ah.
Yeah.
Hour 10.
Hour 10 is a
Fire.
beautiful
Right in the bread and
epi.
butter spot, baby.
bread
We
and
love
butter.
that. We can wrap it there, man. We had a great
Yeah.
conversation, bro. And like we said, we really appreciate you coming on and actually, talking on camera instead of being behind the camera for the
Yeah,
first
it's
time.
interesting. Like we've known you for a minute, but it's actually sick to know your full story. Of,
Yeah,
like,
I'm sure a lot of people
How
will
did it all
appreciate
happen?
hearing this shit,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's honestly like it's cool, it's cool to share it and talk to you guys. Obviously, you guys have been in the space for a really long time and you've seen, creators come and go, so
Of course.
yeah, man, my first podcast, like fucking love it.
Fuck
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's put a bow on it, baby.
Photo
Thanks
by
for coming on,
Bryant,
Bryant. You the man.
Let's go.
Thank you guys. Thank
See you
for
guys
having
next
me.
week.
Appreciate you, big dog.
You were sitting in your bed, had nothing to do. But little did you know there were 4 dudes who like talking shit while sipping their brews. Just make sure your parents don't walk in the room.
Hey, what are you watching?
Nothing, Mom. Do you believe in God?
Don't tell your mom, cause it's out of pocket party.